In 2001, Rockstar Games dropped a title that would shock the gaming world, Grand Theft Auto 3. Saying it was impactful almost feels like an understatement. This game didn't just change open world gaming, it rewired the entire landscape of gaming as a whole. Take Jak and Daxter, The Precursor's Legacy, for example. That first game was colorful, Crash Bandicoot style platformer, fun, charming, and exactly what you'd expect from the era. But then GTA 3 hit the scene, and Naughty Dog pivoted hard with Jak 2, turning it into a gritty open world adventure that's the kind of ripple effect GTA 3 had. It even changed platformers into crime-ridden sandboxes. And much like any other form of media, when something that big drops, everybody wants in. Soon, the GTA clone label started flying around, hitting games like True Crime, Scarface The World Is Yours, and even the Mafia series. While some of these clones found success, one stood out from the pack, not only getting it right, but delivering a sharp, satirical take on the dark side of the American underbelly in a way we hadn't seen before. While others stayed locked in GTA's shadow, this game had its own key, opening the door to something entirely new. Welcome to episode 1 of the Saints Row Takeover. Today, we're taking over Stillwater with the real Saints Row.
I started out with nothing. Just a kid from the streets with nothing to lose. Once I joined the 3rd Street Saints, everything started going my way.
All right, everybody listen up. We got some serious to discuss.
You earned your colors today.
I think it's time we give those other crews a wake-up call. The Saints used to own Stillwater, and it seems like the only that remember that is me and Gak.
Shit took me half the time.
Welcome to the 3rd Street Saints. Let's get down to business.
If you're new here, welcome to the channel. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. If you enjoy long-form retrospective content like this, you've come to the right place. If you learned something new or just enjoyed a ride, hit that like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm push this video to more people. We're currently on the road to 10,000 subs, and we are closing in on 7K. So if you enjoyed the video, subscribing goes a long way in helping the channel grow. And if you're feeling a little extra generous, you can always buy me a cup of coffee. Everything helps. With that said, let's dive into this. Since this is the first of 4 Saints Row videos, let's take a moment to lay down some solid groundwork. We start with a little company called Volition, and at the center of it is 2 men, Mike Carnales and Matt Toshlong. Mike Carnales grew up in the Chicago area, and during his college years, he spent most of his free time playing computer games. Somewhere along the way, that hobby turned into a passion for making games. Still, in the early 80s, the gaming market was small, and for Mike, it felt more like a side interest than a secure career path. But in 1981, everything changed. Sublogic, the company known for creating Microsoft Flight Simulator, yes, the one that still has a loyal fan base today, was hiring in town. On a whim, Carnales dropped out of college and applied. They brought him on board, and when he was there, he got his first real taste of professional game development. Learning directly from Sublogic founder Bruce Artwick and soaking up insight into the growing games market.
I grew up in the Chicago area. I came down here to go to school. You know, to me, a computer, the best thing to do with it was to write and play games. You know, all the stuff I did in class, you know, that was fairly interesting. But really what I wanted to do was make games. There were probably some people selling games on the Apple II, the Atari, I think the 400 and the 800. You know, they were 6502 based, a very primitive machine, 16K of RAM. Games were sold in little Ziploc baggy type things, and I think if you sold 500, you're probably pretty happy. So I didn't really think that there was a career there. I thought it was more of a hobby. It seemed like everybody making games was out on the West Coast. But then in 1981, I dropped out of school, and it turned out that the company making Flight Simulator was here in town. I applied for a job there, and I got a job there, and I got to work with Bruce, who I thought was the most brilliant programmer I'd ever met. Bruce Artwick, who was the founder of Sublogic, he was highly motivated and always, moving forward. Get this thing done. I'm not going to stop and overthink this stuff. I'm going to get a game done. And working with someone smart is always good, but also, sort of getting that lesson on making a game. And as much as I liked it, and as challenging as it was, 4 years of Flight Simulator, that's like 1.5 games now. But I shipped like 6 different versions of Flight Simulator in that time, and I was ready to do something different.
After 4 years, Carnales left Sublogic and teamed up with Ned Lerner, the founder of Looking Glass Studios. While there, he worked on Car and Driver, a 1992 MS-DOS racing game based on a popular magazine. It was during this project that Carnales met Matt Toshlong. The two quickly hit it off, and before long, they made the bold decision to leave their current jobs and start a company of their own.
So then I worked for Ned Lerner, and we worked on Car and Driver's interactive road test for about, it seemed like an eternity, 2 years. That's nothing now. But Matt Toshlong, who also worked on that, he was my partner in founding Parallax Software, and I thought, if this is what it means to run a company, we can do it too. What's the worst that can happen? It'll fail, and we'll have to go back to work for somebody else.
Now, here's the thing. These two guys didn't even live in the same state. Matt was in Boston, Mike was in Illinois. Since Illinois was cheaper, Matt made the move, and on June 14, 1993, the two officially founded Parallax Software. They hit the ground running, working tooth and nail while building up a small team. Their first project was a game called Inferno, which they pitched to Apogee Software. For 7 months, development chugged along until Apogee pulled the plug, leaving them stranded with a functional prototype and no publisher. Luckily, Interplay Productions stepped in, picked up the project, and rebranded it as Descent, a first-person shooter with a unique zero-gravity twist. Interplay rolled out the red carpet for its release, and the game launched to strong reception.
So the game came out in March of '95. It was in stores in March and did very well. It started generating a lot of buzz. And I think our publisher, Interplay, thought, well, we actually have something on our hands here. Because what we were doing was different than what they had done before. And I think they didn't really get it. We had a really good producer, Rusty Buchert, who I think did get the game. But I think it took that to get sales and marketing interested in the game. It was like, oh, we actually have something here. They pulled together a TV campaign.
This is Descent. True 360-degree 3D madness. 30 gut-wrenching levels.
I'm flying around, then boom. Oh, I don't get no respect.
Descent for PlayStation.
You're going down.
We're inside of these tunnels, and it's not unlike a movie. It's like you're in the middle of a movie fighting a lot of guys for some stuff.
Descent, 360 degrees of vertical rotation. 0. 360 is greater than 0. Descent, for your PC, not equal to 2, greater than.
The success of Descent put Parallax Software on the map, paving the way for Descent 2. With the sequel's development, the team expanded to 14 employees, and its success became their ticket to stability in the gaming industry. But shortly after Descent 2's release, the company split, not because of bad blood, but because simply of geography. Mike was still in Champaign, Illinois, while Matt had moved to Ann Arbor, Michigan. From the start, neither wanted to stay in Champaign forever, but they couldn't agree on a single location for the company. So they divided operations. Matt launched Outrage Entertainment in Michigan, while Mike founded Volition in Illinois.
And it actually worked out well for us. At the time I thought, this is shameful. They're taking a mission pack and selling it as a new game. We shouldn't be part of this type of thing. Well, it made us a lot of money, and it really enabled the two companies, us to split Parallax Software into Volition and Outrage Entertainment. So Matt moved here from Boston, and he said, I'll move here, we'll get the company going, and then, I don't want to spend the rest of my life in Champaign. And I said, no problem, neither do I. That was 18 years ago. So we agreed that we would move the company somewhere, and we couldn't agree on where to move the company. So fortunately, Descent made enough money that we were able to split the company in half. Some of the employees went with Matt, some stayed here.
Matt Toshlag moved to Michigan. They ultimately made the split formal, and he formed Outrage Entertainment, and Mike stayed here and renamed it Volition.
So we were Parallax, and we were splitting in half, and we needed a new name. There was really no sense of urgency to it, so I just said, hey, you know, we're going to come up with a new name, send in your ideas. And I kind of forgot about the whole thing, and then I thought, oh my God, I have to file papers finally. You know, it's like we agreed, you know, Matt and I were going to split legally on this date. Well, that means certain things need to happen. One of those is you write your name down on a piece of paper and you file that with the state. So I didn't like any of the names that people had submitted, so I remember where I was in my living room pulling books off the shelf, looking in, first like a dictionary and just random pages, and a thesaurus and looking up things, and then reference books and looking in the glossaries in the back, and just hoping, you know, something would jump out, combining words and so forth. And I remember doing that. I don't remember what book it was, but I remember I found Volition in the glossary. You know, it's not a complex word, but it was in the glossary, and it said, you know, like an intense, active will to accomplish something. And I thought, oh, you know, it's probably, I just like, whatever makes sense now, you know, I want to go to sleep. But I thought, okay, that's what software is, right? It's really almost nothing. It's, you know, it's just a bunch of electrons. Now it's 100 people working for several years, working very hard at this nebulous thing, you know, really just realizing ideas, and then now distributing it as electrons, right? I mean, you know, what could be more ethereal than that? So it's really just, it's the act of will that is creating something, you know, so you have this volition to do something. That was good enough, you know, write it on the sheet of paper and be done with it. So, you know, the name has grown on me. I like Parallax Software. Turns out there were like 3 or 4 of them. But Volition, you know, that's where it came from. It sort of makes sense. And it was more, we need a name. Let's get that name and move on to other things.
Under Volition and still partnered with Interplay, it was time to keep the legacy going. A 4-game deal was made, 2 titles from Volition in Illinois and 2 from Outrage in Michigan. Volition's first release under this deal was Free Space, another entry in the Descent series. During its development, the studio nearly doubled in size, adding about 5 or 6 new team members. This will also be the last game Mike Kalas personally programmed. From there, Volition moved on to 4 other projects: Free Space 2, Descent 4, 2 Racer, and Summoner. Free Space 2 was developed in just a year, but when it was 3 months from completion, Interplay, now a public company, told Volition to finish it in a single month. Against the odds, they delivered, and the game was a success. Summoner, on the other hand, was a whole new challenge. Unlike anything Parallax or Volition had made before, it was a role-playing game, a genre they had no prior experience with. Things took another turn when they received a PlayStation 2 dev kit and were told to make Summoner a PS2 launch title. By this point, the Interplay deal was running out, and Volition needed a new publisher. On August 31st, 2000, THQ stepped in, acquiring Volition and taking over Summoner's publishing duties.
Summoner came out with the launch of the PlayStation 2 in October of 2000, I guess that would have been. On August 31st of 2000, we were acquired by, or merged in the legal sense, technically, it was a merger, by THQ.
Our multi-project deal with Interplay was kind of winding down, and we needed another publisher for the role-playing game. Interplay had enough role-playing stuff going on. We were shopping it around, and THQ really loved it, and they flew out here and they told us how much they liked what they saw, and we showed them some more, and things just kind of progressed from there.
Under THQ, Summoner 2 launched and was widely seen as a massive improvement over the original. Around the same time, Volition salvaged pieces of the canceled Descent 4 and reworked them into Red Faction, which also turned into a hit. Things were looking smooth until Red Faction 2. Despite the team's confidence, it reviewed worse than the first game, and internally it was considered a failure. THQ pulled the plug on any plans for a new Summoner or another Red Faction, convinced they wouldn't sell. Trying to rebound, Volition began working on a heist game called Underground, but that too was canceled. Everything at THQ shifted the moment GTA 3 hit the market. Chasing the open world gold rush, they pivoted hard and decided to greenlight The Punisher.
After that, we went on, we did Summoner 2, Red Faction 2. I thought we corrected all the ills of Summoner. The game was better reviewed and sold less. And Red Faction 2, I thought was a really good game. It got decent review. It got slightly lower reviews than Red Faction 1. I think a lot of people within the company were disappointed. They thought, oh, this is going to be better. You know, it's going to be really well received. And they were disappointed. And then sort of the lore within the company became, oh, Red Faction 2 was a failure. It killed the franchise. So anyway, I remember marketing saying, yeah, you know, I think the Red Faction franchise needs a rest. And they gave it a 7-year rest. So we had already started on Red Faction 3. And then we had to find something else to do. And Summoner 3, we had already started on that, and that had been canceled. Those guys went on to start a project called Underground. I don't know if anyone has told you about that. It's a painful thing to bring up with some people.
Worked on a title called Underground that didn't see the light of day, unfortunately. It was a heist game set in England.
But we worked on that game for 12 months or so. I thought there was a lot of good stuff in it, but it wasn't really coming together. People, you know, marketing, I don't get what, you know, what is this game about? It was about being a thief. It was kind of like being a low-life thief who is a pseudo-open world game. I mean, people didn't really use the term then, but you had a lot of options on, you know, what kind of stuff you could steal. And then GTA came out, and marketing felt, well, the expectations for, you know, if you walk by a car, you have to be able to hijack the car and drive the car and all this stuff that we hadn't planned for. And it was being tugged in one direction by marketing and the team saying, no, you know, this is our vision of the game. Ultimately, that game was canceled. THQ said, you know, why don't you guys think about doing a license? You know, The Punisher, you know, there's a movie coming out, it's going to be really big and all this stuff. So, and then we had some Punisher fans here too. So we thought, okay, yeah, you know, let's put together a concept for the Punisher game. And that was greenlit, and we ultimately did The Punisher, which was our only licensed title ever, I believe.
Working on The Punisher was cool for a lot of different reasons. We got to work with Marvel. They were filming the Punisher movie at the same time, so a few of us got to go be on set for a little bit and hang out with like the set builders and see some of the stuff they were doing and watch some of the scenes being filmed. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, from a challenge standpoint, you know, the Punisher had to interrogate people to get information out of them. And these were pretty gruesome interrogations in true Punisher style, so the ESRB, they liked the fact that the game was unique and new, but I think it was kind of coined a torture simulator. So we had to come up with a way to make it not so blatantly torture. The fact that it was interactive made it that much worse. Like the player controlled how far the Punisher pushed the guy. And if they wanted to, they could just like snap the victims immediately. So yeah, that was a really tough line to walk. So pushing the desaturation, and then we had to force the camera to look away from the scene if the player, you know, went beyond that line. I think in the end it worked out pretty well. And we got the ship as not an AO title, so that's a good thing, right?
After The Punisher, Volition decided it was time to cook up something new. They had a design exercise, letting staff submit ideas for the next big project. One concept stood out: a hybrid between a first-person shooter and a gang simulator, a genre almost untouched at the time. The team saw an opening. The open world market was still small, with GTA being the only major player. If they could carve their own space in that sandbox, they might have something big. In a boardroom full of brainstorming sessions, and with NWA's F the Police blasting in the background, the foundation for the game began to take shape. At first, they called it Bling Bling and planned it for the PlayStation 2. Alan Lawrence recalled, "First, I want to go back to the start of the project, which began with a small group in the spring of 2003. Back then, the project had the code name Bling Bling. We were running on the PS2 and nothing had been announced about the Xbox 360. The initial vision for the game has changed remarkably little from those early days, but the technology has changed completely. Eventually, the name shifted to Saints Row, but the project didn't unite the team. In fact, it split the studio in two. Some employees didn't want to be associated with a gang simulator, while others simply felt the work wasn't worth their time. Then came a bigger challenge: the jump from the PlayStation 2 to the Xbox 360. The dev kits for the 360 came with incomplete documentation and the final hardware specs were still unknown, making development a guessing game. On top of that, the budget ballooned past $8 to $9 million, and the studio's headcount swelled to over 100 people. When the game was finally finished, management requested postmortems, and those write-ups didn't hold back. They were packed with negative opinions about the project and heavy criticism of how it was run.
We had this design exercise. This was one of the first times we'd done it at the studio. We invited everyone to participate in coming up with new game ideas.
One of the ideas was this gang simulator. First-person shooter, gang simulator, real straightforward, nasty little game. And we were talking about it, and to me, the idea of doing that didn't make sense, but what made sense to me was to go where the audience was, but there wasn't a lot of competitors. And for us, that was open world. There was nobody doing those games. It was just basically GTA. And my attitude was, there's 8 million people playing those games. No one's been able to succeed. We're a very high-tech group. Why don't we take a shot at this? And instead of trying to do all kinds of different things like role-playing games and first-person shooters and all this sort of stuff, why don't we just try and focus all of our skills into one area, which would be open world.
So we cobbled together this vision trailer by taking clips from movies and clips from other games and cut it to a hip-hop song name I can't remember, the song I can't remember, but yeah, it was Fuck the Police, that was it. And we played that in the boardroom, and there was dead silence afterwards, and the CFO says, "Is this really the kind of game that we want to be making?" And they talked about, we're near LA, gangs are a serious matter here, we have gang fights, we have gang riots, we have a lot of people being killed. Brian Farrell, the CEO, said, someone's going to make games like this, I believe in this, and we're going to make this game. And then we came up with rules like there will be no children, you can't kill the police, which that rule fell away, and I forget what a lot of the other ones were. It was, people were very nervous about what we were doing there. I think some of them were probably worried, someone's going to throw bricks through my window or something like that.
It was an interesting struggle. There were people who were not happy with what we were making there. I mean, on the team, did not want to make that game, did not want to even be associated with that game.
It was called Bling Bling at the time. That was the name of the concept, and it was, back when the term was, I don't know, I can't say cool, but like new.
It was really more of a gang simulator. It was a more serious game. But to me, the sort of wacky humor aspects of Saints Row, for me, I hope for a lot of people, take away a lot of the, oh my God, you're a gangbanger doing these terrible things. You give player tools like driving vehicles and explosives and so forth, and a somewhat real city to do it in, they're gonna do wacky stuff.
It was kind of crazy because it was a brand new structure, and the genre was completely new, and then we decided to go to the 360 rather than doing it on PS2.
The documentation was incomplete. We weren't sure how fast it would be. We weren't sure how much memory it would be. We didn't know what the throughput was going to be from the DVD, which in a streaming open world game is really important.
That was definitely the hardest project I've been on. Technically, it was just extremely difficult. And we had to do streaming worlds for the first time, and I mean that alone is just enough to make some companies just shut down.
I think THQ really believed in the game, believed it was going to be successful. I think a lot of people here thought this is taking too long, there's too much stuff getting cut, thrown out. I'm working really hard here, and this game's not going to turn out well. And I think there was a fair amount of negativity on the team. It was like Red Faction.
We were dealing with a level of complexity that we had never, we'd never tackled before.
Our largest ever budget of $8 or $9 million, I think, and we blew through that by a lot. THQ doesn't like talking about budgets, but
we'd never been above, I think, about 30, 40 people in a team, and all of a sudden we had 100 plus people on Saints Row.
Really, once we crossed 100, I realized I can't keep up anymore. You know, a name pops in, a name pops out. Someone had a beard, he shaves his beard, I think he's a new employee, I embarrass myself.
Every year, Mike would, at the company meeting, would show a chart of how many heads we'd hired or whatever, and it was pretty much going up every year.
Being part of THQ, I don't really think changed the company very much. Team size growing is what changed the company a lot.
What the fuck you think you're doing? Just being civic-minded is all.
People didn't know how the game was going to be received. There was a lot of negativity in the postmortems. Everybody is asked to write a postmortem as soon as possible after the game is done. So it's what you're thinking then, not when you look back and say, well, the game was really successful, it wasn't that bad. So there was a lot of negativity in there. There was a lot of criticism of management.
On May 16, 2005, Saints Row was officially announced at E3. In an IGN article, it was stated, "We're building Saints Row on a new proprietary game engine that's going to take our studio to the next level of game design. The goal is to build a complete sense of dynamic reaction to every action the player takes. In Saints Row, the player is not forced to follow a linear story in a pseudo-sandbox world. The purpose is to provide choice and freedom as to how the game is played." At E3, Saints Row made some serious waves, catching the attention of players and press alike. The big catch, it was launching exclusively on a single platform, which meant missing out on a wider audience. But in a way, that exclusivity helped build its identity on the 360. GameSpot summoned up the early buzz after E3, calling the game very much a diamond in the rough. The ambitious pieces of the game we saw are promising. The Volition crew seems passionate about the game, and it's anxious to get the most out of the Xbox 360. The overall game concept is solid, and the unique elements Volition is focusing on are all good. More importantly, it sounds as though both THQ and Volition are more fixated on ensuring the game realizes the potential all involved feel it has rather than making it out in time for the 360 launch, which is actually a good thing. Given the landscape of early 360 titles, Saints Row will be a strong addition to the platform's burgeoning library when it hits, not only for its gameplay, but also for its smart use of the system's features. Saints Row is currently slated to ship this holiday, which is just in time for the Xbox 360 launch. But in October 2005, fans got hit with bad news. Saints Row was delayed until the following year. Fast forward to E3 2006 and the game returned with a far more polished build, complete with the hands-on demo. In an interview from the producer at Volition, he revealed a very large demo will be coming to the Xbox 360 marketplace. He promised an action-heavy experience similar to Grand Theft Auto, but with more detailed graphics and physics. While he confirmed the demo's release, he was quiet on the exact date or what content it would include. Despite the secrecy, Saints Row managed to stay in the public conversation for over a year. By the time it was shown at GDC 2006 in San Jose, it was clear the game still had a few technical issues to iron out. The visuals were shiny and colorful, but the frame rate struggled to keep the pace, a problem Volition knew they had to solve before launch. With the hype built and the delays behind them, a clear goal was to avoid living in the Grand Theft Auto shadow. Saints Row finally hit the streets for Xbox 360. The game launched on August 29, 2006 in North America, August 31st in Australia, and September 1st across European markets, introducing a bold new contender to the open world crime genre.
Champaign, Illinois. Population 70,000. The streets are clean and the neighbors friendly. In a cozy corner of this modest community, you'll find Volition Studios, a small but distinguished collective of like-minded video game developers. It is from this unlikely locale that our story unfolds. A tale of brutality and vengeance, full of larceny, fraud, pimpin', and murder. The usual suspects are the 3rd Street Saints, and their MO is terror. These wanton criminals, perhaps unloved as children, have turned to violence in their quest for respect and a boatload of bling. Join us now as we take a walk on the wild side of next-gen gaming as THQ and Volition Studios present Saints Row.
We didn't want to just have it be like a gang simulator, right? It's not like this is a slice of life when you're in a gang. The clothes are better, the cars are shiny, they have big rims, the girls are all pretty and they don't have STDs. It's really heightened and really kind of over the top.
We did a lot of research in terms of the urban side of the game and the authenticity. We also hired consultants, people who are well-known personalities in the hip-hop world, for example, both on the music side, but also the clothing side, and also people who had been in games to advise us on what people wear, how they talked.
Visually, we went with like a Detroit, Chicago style, industrial, older, has seen better days type city.
We tried to get a lot of variety in, and the neighborhoods feel very, very different. You know when you've gone from one to the others, from very rundown areas like Sunnyvale Gardens, which is basically like a projects district, to the very glass and steel towers of the downtown areas.
We wanted to make a game that is about you, primarily. So you have a very extensive character creation set that allows you to create a character to the likeness of anyone you want.
There are basically 4 gangs. The Players Gang, which is the 3rd Street Saints. There's the Vice Kings, Los Carnales, and the Rollerz.
Some of the actors that comprise their voices are Freddie Rodriguez.
No problem.
Joaquin de Almeida.
¿Pero qué pasó?
Michael Clark Duncan.
I'm not happy, Anthony.
Clancy Brown.
This was an act of urban terrorism.
Mila Kunis.
Are you gonna let him talk about me like that?
Tia Carrera.
Any other comments?
David Carradine.
It's always a pleasure.
Michael Rappaport.
I got your back, Julius.
We're very proud of our cast, by the way.
Tanya is a big help. This is great. I kill people, I die. This is fabulous. What else can you ask for?
Each of the gangs have their own sort of unique look and their own unique involvement in the criminal underworld.
Ben King is in charge of the Vice King.
They're more of the mafia style where they're involved heavily in big businesses.
He is the typical gangster. He runs his crew with iron fists. He doesn't take anything from anybody.
Hector Lopez is in charge of the Carnales, a predominantly Hispanic gang.
They're involved heavily in drug trade with the Colombians.
One of our shipments didn't arrive, and I want to make sure no one's skimming off the top.
They are probably the meanest of the mean.
Yo no le tengo miedo a Orejuela.
And then Vincent Price is in charge of the Westside Rollerz, which is a primarily sort of fast and furious gang.
The Rollerz are very oriented to street racing, car stealing, those types of things.
And then finally there is your gang. Julius is in charge of that gang.
Welcome to the 3rd Street Saints.
He's basically wanting to bring the Saints back to protect their home territory of Saints Row and oust the rest of the gangs.
We're taking a slightly different approach to the gameplay in that we're trying to make it as open-ended and free-form as possible.
They can go where they want to do and perform the activities that they like, that they have the most fun with, and still advance through the game that way without having to basically, say, okay, well, you must do X, Y, or Z, you have to deliver so many pizzas or whatever.
We let you, the gamer, decide what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and how often you want to do it.
The player wants to go and do a little bit of, let's say, street racing. They can do as much or as little of street racing as they want and earn respect, and that respect in turn unlocks missions.
Visually, I think everyone will notice that this game looks next gen. It's rendered for high definition televisions. All of this contributing to a heightened degree of realism in the game.
You can go inside, you can go outside, you can drive from one end of the city to the other as fast as you want.
and you'll never see a hard load screen.
And it's really leveraging the power of the Xbox 360, the memory and the processing power that allowed us to pull that off.
You can change your primary paint color, but there's also several other paint colors you can change, and each with their own properties. Like you can have metallic flecks, visible in the paint job.
We try to really give this city the feeling of a city where people are actually doing things outside of you.
When night falls, you're going to see more sort of like seedy characters out in the streets, and more crimes are going to happen at night.
I've seen things where I'll be just walking around and a cop will all of a sudden come by and arrest somebody or just beat somebody down, and then gang members see this happening and then they start to get involved, and before you know it, you're actually watching a gang fight that you had nothing to do with.
The number of possibilities of things that may arise mushrooms, and so it makes it very difficult to predict what the gamer might encounter when they do certain things.
The in-game radio has a total of 13 radio stations.
So if you've been bitten by a dog, or slipped on some ice, or shot in the ass, or rear-ended by someone in a foreign automobile, I want you to make the next call after 911 to me, Legal E at Legalese.
And we tried to reflect as much gameplay in our radio ads, commercials, news bulletins as possible.
So if the player's playing a lot of Hitman or hijacking, then a newscast will play, truckers, watch out for all the hijackings going on in the game, or something equivalent like that.
So you might be driving along and hear about a sale that's taking place at a clothing store. And there actually will be a sale at that clothing store for the next day or so, and you can go there and get the discount.
Hey kiddies, they're having a 30% off sale.
Well, multiplayer in Saints Row is something that we think is going to be huge. You really haven't seen games of this style have a multiplayer component.
Where you can take your character online and compete against thousands of other Xbox Live players.
We have 8 multiplayer modes and a number of multiplayer levels. You can play head-to-head or you can play co-op.
Things like Protect the Pimp, where you're basically running around and making sure that this pimp that you have doesn't get killed by the enemy gang members. Modes like Blinged Out Ride, where 2 teams are racing to bling up their car.
As you play and as you compete against other people, you'll earn money. And this money will in turn buy clothing and jewelry and tattoos and hairstyles and whatnot.
So if you've been playing for 5,000 hours and you made a lot of Saints Row bucks, you can buy that pimp hat that no one else has and brag about it. And people will know immediately because you'll be wearing it in the game and no one else can afford to buy it.
You can also create online gangs, so you and a bunch of your buddies can go online, form a gang, start wearing the same type of clothing, and really show off to other people.
We're also going to have a large amount of downloadable content that will come after the game is released, and it'll consist of like clothing packs, but also vehicles and also downloadable level.
This script I found very compelling. This script, I have to say, is better than some of the movies I've done.
It's smart and it's funny and it's a great game. It's a very smart game.
I want one of these video games when it comes out.
I'll definitely check it out for sure.
And you're going to love our music.
We've really been able to come up with a great solid game that not only looks well, but plays well, and I think people are really going to be amazed by it.
Here is a quick spoiler alert as I'm about to tell the story behind Saints Row. Now, if you're not a fan of spoilers, please advance this video to the gameplay overview section as seen on the timeline below. Let's dive into this. The story begins on Saints Row, where tensions between gangs are already high. A group of Vice Kings spot a Westside Rollerz tag. Feeling disrespected, they paint over it, only for the Rollerz to show up, sparking a street brawl. Before either side can dominate, Los Carnales pull up and unleash a drive-by on both gangs. Chaos erupts until a Roller member steps up with an AK, blasting the Carnales car, sending it crashing into flames. But just as quickly, the Rollerz gunman is dropped by a Vice King bullet. That same Vice King closes in on Playa, the protagonist of the game. He's ready to end him on the spot. At that moment, everything goes black. A gunshot echoes. When Vision returns, Playa is still alive, and the Vice King is lying dead, courtesy of Troy, a member of the 3rd Street Saints. Julius Little, the Saints leader, steps in and helps Playa to their feet. With the Carnales wreck burning in the background, Julius explains a plan to take over the row and invites Playa to join. Playa later arrives to the Saints base, an old church, and earns a place in the gang through baptism of fists known as canonization.
You earned your colors today.
That's some impressive shit. The only other Saint who kicked ass like that was Johnny.
Shit took me half the time.
Welcome to the 3rd Street Saints. Let's get down to business. If we're serious about taking back the row, we gotta let those motherfuckers know what time it is. And you break it down, and it's all about respect. Get enough of it, they're gonna back off, and we're gonna move right on in. We got some friends in town that could use some help. Give them a hand. Course, you can always drop any motherfucker flying the wrong flag. So long as word gets out that the Saints is on the row, I don't give a damn how you do it. You feel me?
Following Julius's speech, Troy takes player out to buy a gun, and then decides it's time to start hitting the Vice Kings in Saints Row. After stirring up trouble and gaining some notoriety, player and Troy stop by Forgive and Forget to clear their wanted level before Troy grabs a bite at Freckle Bitches. From there, player moves in on the Carnales stronghold. Shortly after, Julius calls and asks for a pickup. Players hoost up Julius and Troy explains he got a tip about a turf war. His plan? Crash the party and wipe out everyone involved. The Saints hit the scene and take out 3 gang lieutenants, one each from the Kings, Carnales, and Rollerz. The attack draws police attention, so they make another stop at Forgive and Forget to keep things quiet. Julius then calls a meeting, routing the Saints and assigning members to oversee each rival gang. Troy turns down a chance to lead a crew, putting him at odds with Julius, but Johnny Gat quickly steps up and takes the role. It's here that player also meets Lynn, a Saints member working undercover. Player listens closely as Julius gives another rousing speech, soaking in everything.
Listen up, people. I got some serious shit to discuss. Yeah, we cleared out the row. You think for a second that's gonna stop them? Unless we wipe all these motherfuckers out, they're gonna keep coming. And they ain't gonna be happy. It ain't gonna be settled until the Carnales, the Rollerz, and the Vice Kings ain't nothing but a memory. Dex, you got the Carnales. Ever since they hooked up with the Colombians, it's like they own this town. And with that drug money rolling in, we can't compete. Be smart how you move against them. The Lopez family been running that gang for 30 years. There's a reason they still around.
Got it.
Troy, you dealing with the Vice Kings.
Not a chance.
Fuck you say?
Anyone but them.
You scared of going against Benjamin King?
Man, fuck that. I'll take King out.
Johnny, it's not that simple.
Bullets still kill motherfuckers, right? Doesn't get much simpler than that.
Keep an eye on your boy.
I don't need a fucking babysitter, Julius.
Keep an eye on your boy.
Who's got the Rollerz?
I do.
Lynn?
The fuck you wearing blue for?
I asked Lynn to hook up with the Rollerz. We don't know much about these fuckers, so I wanted one of us on the inside.
I didn't think the Rollerz pimped hoes.
Any other comments?
Yeah, when you punch, don't throw your shoulders so much.
Shut up, Johnny.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Once we're done here, go talk to one of these guys. They'll have something for you to do. It's our time now. Let's get this shit started.
The story unfolds in a non-linear fashion, with player helping the Saints take over Stillwater from 3 rival gangs, and the order is entirely up to the players. For this recap, we'll start with Los Carnales, then move on to the Vice Kings, and finish with the Westside Rollerz. Player arrives at the Saints Church, where Dex is laying out his plan against Los Carnales. He explains that the Carnales were the first organized gang in Stillwater, controlling the city until Benjamin King and the Vice Kings rose up to challenge them. Now, the Carnales are led by the Lopez brothers and backed by their enforcer, Victor, a hulking, bulletproof nightmare who seems impossible to put down. Dex warns that the Carnales are tied to the largest drug cartel in the world. The plan? Cut off their income, then take out Hector Lopez. Player's first move is to hit their drug lab, destroying equipment and sending a clear message. Not long after, Dex and Troy meet at Freckle Bitches to discuss the next step. Troy suggests a direct raid, but Dex shuts the idea down, saying that's cop work, and it never works. And surprisingly, Troy agrees. Instead, Dex shifts the focus. The plan isn't to storm the factory yet, but to hijack one of the trucks that regularly leaves it and bring it back to the road. When Troy starts asking why, Dex quickly grows irritated. Turning to Player, Dex asks, "Just do it." Player nods and walks off, leaving a cloud of tension between Dex and Troy. With the truck successfully hijacked and delivered to the row, the Carnales finally realize the Saints are making their move and decide it's time to hit back.
Angelo, I need you to go to the lab tonight. One of our shipments didn't arrive, and I want to make sure no one's skimming off the top.
No problem.
Angelo, you promised we'd go shopping tonight.
Ah, shit. Mira, Hector. Hey, I told Luz I'd take her downtown. Can Victor take care of...
Is Victor sitting at the table, Angelo?
Yes.
So if I wanted Victor to handle it, I could have asked him, right?
Luz, we'll go out tomorrow.
But Angelo...
Coño, Luz, cállate la boca, ¿ok? No me oíste.
Gracias.
You should be nicer to the lady.
Oye, Ángelo, métete la verga en su boca. Eso la callará.
Vete el carajo.
Mira, Luz, come on, mama. Don't be so sensitive.
I'll be inside.
Señorita, a moment. If Angelo's busy, I can take you out tonight.
Mr. Orejuela, I couldn't.
Nonsense. It would be my pleasure. Unless you have a problem with me entertaining the lady.
No, of course not.
Good. I'll see you at 8. That's a lot of woman you got there, Angelo.
I know.
I always thought she was a bitch. Hold on. Sí, ¿qué pasa? ¿Qué? ¿Pero qué pasó?
What is it?
Coño, ese cabrón hijo de puta!
That didn't sound encouraging.
Everything is fine.
Of course it is. If you would excuse me, I'm going to check on the señorita.
Ese viejo sucio maricón, yo le mato si le toca luz. Angelo, you are my brother and I love you. But if you let your dick fuck things up with the Colombians, I'm gonna cut it off.
Forgive me, Hector.
Don't let it happen again.
¿Y qué fue eso?
Those pendejos in St. Row are the ones who took the shipment. With the Colombians arriving, we can't show any weakness.
The Colombians are already here.
All the more reason to settle this now. Victor, Angelo, gather your men together. It's time to tear Saints Row apart.
Back at the church, Playa arrives just as Dex is getting off the phone, grinning as he explains that the stolen truck is patched up and ready. Before they can lay out his next move, a Saints member bursts in with bad news. The road was under attack by Los Carnales. Angelo Lopez led the charge, and when the Saints had the upper hand, Victor, the bulletproof enforcer, stormed in to save him. Together, Angelo and Victor wiped out the Saints at the scene and then headed straight to Freckle Bitches. The gang member warns that the row is still under siege, and Dex decides it's time to clear out every last Carnales intruder. Later, Troy and Playa wait for Dex to return with the truck. Troy is still pressing for answers about why Dex wanted it in the first place, but Playa is just as in the dark. When Dex finally arrives, he lays it all out. The plan is to load the truck with Saints, roll it straight into the Carnales production plant, and take it over intact. Destroying it isn't the goal. They might have use for it later. The plan works flawlessly, leaving the Carnales in a vulnerable position and shredding the relationship with their Colombian suppliers.
Manuel, you worry too much. Everything is under control.
I've heard some nasty rumors, Hector.
Like what?
That one of your drug labs was shut down.
¿Qué eso? No, eso no es un problema. One of our careers thought he could cut the shit out of his deliveries. Looked like we were missing a lot of product. It really was just this pendejo. Hey, Angelo took care of him.
And the drugs?
Found.
What about this gang from Saints Row?
A bunch of mulas, a nuisance. Nothing more.
Your father would have killed them all by now.
I am not my father.
I've noticed.
Hey, don't you walk away from me, puta!
Ay, Angelo, ¿qué te pasa? Es tan grande que pueda ser mi padre, mijo.
Mira, mujer, you listen to me. Enough! Yo estoy intentando trabajar aquí. O se comportan o salgan de mi casa ya.
You're right. Looks like everything is under control, Hector. We'll talk about this more when the others arrive.
Later, Troy, Dex, and Playa are at friendly fire, checking out a high-powered sniper rifle called the McManus. Dex is quick to buy it, clearly impressed. Dex takes the moment to praise Playa's work on the drug lag takedown, then fills him in on the latest intel. a memo revealing that Hector Lopez is meeting with the Colombians that very night. Dex wants Playa on the job with the McManus, scoping out Hector from a distance. Troy adds that once the hit goes down, the Carnales will think the Colombians betrayed them, widening the rift between the two groups. That night, Playa sets up, takes aim, and eliminates Hector Lopez. Meanwhile, down at the docks, more Carnales gang members are being arrested at the scene. Victor arrives later and overhears the cops' conversation, and he wastes no time in passing the information to Angelo Lopez.
That was a hell of a tip.
No kidding. With the amount of shit we confiscated, we could have put Lopez away for the rest of his life.
It don't matter. He got taken care of anyway.
What do you mean?
Monroe's just happy Lopez is dead. As far as he's concerned, this case is closed. Hell, if he found the guy who did this, he'd probably send him a fruit basket.
Hello. Hey, Victor. Mira, I'm in the middle of something. What? What? Victor, listen to me very carefully. I don't give a fuck about the drugs. I don't give a fuck about Oruela.
What about Manuel?
Mira, mujer, cállate el hocico. Who did this to my brother?
What about Hector?
Luz, por favor. Okay, you're right. You deal with the Saints, I'll handle the Colombians. If Manuel is behind this, yo le voy a señalar a él porque la familia López somos los más fuertes.
Back at the church, Troy and Dex discuss Manuel, the mouthpiece for the Colombians, who's just arrived in town. Troy suggests taking him out, but Dex shuts that idea down immediately. Killing Manuel will only turn the Colombians into a new dangerous enemy for the Saints, a fight Dex has no interest in starting. Instead, Dex wants to meet with Manuel, learn his intentions, and use that information to shape the Saints' next move. Dex and Playa set out to find Manuel at a strip club, hoping to build a new connection. On the way, Dex warns Playa that Angelo Lopez is now running the Carnales after Hector's death, and while Angelo isn't the sharpest tool in the shed, Victor remains a dangerous problem that can't be underestimated. At the strip club, Dex speaks to the devil, and the devil appears. Victor shows up, forcing the Saints to retreat back to the church. There, tensions flare when Julius lashes out at Dex for meeting with the Colombians without his approval. Julius makes it clear, when it comes to the Colombians, Dex is to follow the chain of command and keep him in the loop. Before the dust can settle, a gunshot rings out. The Carnales are attacking the church. Julius, Dex, Troy, and Playa fight side by side to defend their turf. Eventually, Victor storms with his crew, but this time, the Saints put him down for good. With Victor gone, Angelo Lopez reaches his breaking point.
What?
Angelo, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're running off to get killed.
Yo no le tengo miedo a Orejuela.
Ay, come on. You don't think Manuel is responsible.
Are you protecting him?
You
want to be with him? Nunca me hable así otra vez.
Back at the church, Troy, Dex, and Playa discuss the ongoing meeting between Julius and Manuel. Dex explains the decision reached. If the Colombians want to partner with the Saints, the first step is retrieving the drugs the cops seized when Hector was killed. Troy immediately questions how they're supposed to pull that off. Dex's first suggestion, take out the police station. Troy snaps, telling Dex he's lost his effing mind, only for Troy to learn that the idea actually came from Julius. Troy shuts it down immediately, pointing out the massive casualties it will cause. Instead, Troy pitches a safer plan. Load a vehicle with explosives, blast a hole in the evidence locker, and grab the drugs with minimal loss of life. The Saints followed through, using a truck full of their own to storm the locker and reclaim the stash. With the Saints holding up their end of the bargain, Manuel and Julius seal the deal. But before they can plan their next move, Angelo Lopez bursts into the meeting, AK in hand, demanding revenge for his brother's death. A shootout breaks out, and Angelo bolts. Playa is ready to give chase, but Manuel stops him, handing over Angelo's address as a gesture of good faith.
Mr. Little, I'm beginning to think we can do business.
I'm glad we can work things out.
So, how exactly would you like to move forward?
¡Lo sabía! You'll die for what you did to my brother!
I wonder if he means us or Manuel.
Wait! I know where he'll go. That's where Angelo lives with his woman. Consider this payment for your act of good faith. When you go over there, I'd appreciate it if you didn't kill the señorita. We'll be in touch.
Back at the church, Dex proposes what can only be described as a Johnny Gat level plan. Take the fight directly to Angelo Lopez, especially after everything the Carnales have pulled at the row. Player and Dex storm Angelo's house, cutting down Carnales as they search room to room to find Angelo. When they finally corner him, his gun clicks empty as he fires at them in desperation. Without hesitation, he dives out a window and bolts. The chase is on. Fighting through more Carnales, Player and Dex pursue Angelo until they reach a raised drawbridge. Angelo floors it, clearing the gap in a speeding way, while Dex, unwilling to make the jump, slams the brakes at the edge, watching Angelo vanish into the distance. Later, at the church, Dex returns to the lead. One of Troy's crew spotted Angelo heading for the airport. If he gets out of town, it's over. They race to intercept him. Meanwhile, Angelo is on the phone with his woman, urging her to meet him at the airport so they can leave together. But when he sees Dex and Player closing in, Angelo decides to start the plane without her, leaving her behind. Player and Dex push through heavy resistance, dodging Carnales with armed RPGs, and they destroy Angelo's plane before it can take off. Ending Los Carnales' reign in Stillwater, Player finally earns Dex's full respect.
Johnny's gonna be jealous.
Oh my God!
What are you doing here?
I was supposed to leave with Angelo.
So what's in here? Guns? Money? Some uncut shit? Shoes?
Actually, they're this season's new.
Hey, bullshit, that's last year's fall collection.
That's not true.
Just let it go, man. No reason to piss off Manuel. Let's get going.
So, what am I supposed to do now?
I don't fucking care.
I have no place to go.
C, answer A.
But you can't just leave me here.
Bitch, you're trying my patience.
Can you at least tell me where Manuel is?
I changed my mind. Shoot her. Good job, man. I'll tell Julius we're done here. Take Angelo's ride. I'll drive this back to your crib. You know what? I think Julius was right about you.
Now let's talk about the Vice Kings. Player meets Johnny Gat in his office, with Dex standing nearby. As Player takes a seat, Johnny begins breaking down the Vice Kings and their leader, Benjamin King, a man with a strong and respected reputation. Their conversation is interrupted when Johnny's girlfriend, Aisha, calls. At first, Johnny thinks it's just a casual call, but Aisha is in a panic. Her sister has been snatched off the street. Dex steps in, noting this is the 6th kidnapping this month. He asks Johnny if he knows who's responsible. Johnny suspects the Vice Kings, but Dex points out that that isn't Benjamin King's style. Johnny then suggests a different theory, that Tanya, a Vice King's lieutenant, might be acting behind King's back. Johnny orders Player to track down Aisha's sister and free her and the other kidnapped girls. Following a Vice King holding Aisha's sister, Player sees her being dragged into a warehouse. Player storms the place, wipes out the Vice Kings inside, and learns that a pimp running the operation is at a strip club with the key. Riding over, Player takes out the pimp, gets the key, rescues the girls, and brings them back to the church. Later on, Aisha herself shows up, revealing tension between her and Johnny. She's now a millionaire thanks to her music career, while Johnny is still living the gang life. Together, Aisha, Johnny, and Player start planning to fake Aisha's death since she signed to the Vice Kings music label.
Well, not all of us have a couple $1 million to make changes.
Always the same shit
Oh,
with you.
here we go again.
What did you want me to do? Did you expect me not to take my shot?
No, I expected you to remember where you came from.
Oh, fuck you, Johnny.
Fuck me?
Fuck you!
You're the one who ran off to be famous. The only time you remember who we are is when you want something.
My sister was kidnapped.
And I brought her back, didn't I?
No, he did.
Bullshit. I told him to do it. No offense.
Look, if you're gonna help me, help me. But don't you dare try to hold it over me.
Fine.
Fine.
Fine! Relax, man. I'd like you to meet Saints Row's claim to fame.
This is Aisha.
And tonight, we gonna kill her.
He's being melodramatic. See, I'm signed with Kingdom Come Records.
And it's no secret that the label is owned by the Vice King.
But the real deal is that once you're in, you can't get out. They rip you off left and right, and they extort you to stay signed. I've talked to Johnny, and he said that you might be willing to help me.
Now check it out. Ish has a recording session in a few minutes. That's when we make her disappear and give the Vice Kings a nice fuck you while we're at it. I want you to take Aisha to her session, but on the way, stop at the chop shop to have your ride loaded up with some C4. Park the car at the studio and get the hell out of there. Ish, make sure someone sees you before you jump out.
Johnny, I really appreciate it.
Whatever. I was gonna blow that place up anyway.
Playa takes Aisha and her car to a garage to plant a bomb, part of the plan to fake her death. On the way, Aisha asks if Johnny ever talks about her. Playa stays silent. She admits she regrets signing with Warren Williams, one of the Vice King's lieutenants. After the bomb is placed, a stalker fan spots Aisha and chases her and Playa through the streets. Playa takes out the crazed fan and drives her to the Vice King's headquarters. Inside, the secretary tips off Warren that Aisha has arrived. Aisha quickly slips out the back, and moments later, the building erupts in flames. Now believed to be dead, Aisha meets Johnny for a romantic evening at Freckle Bitches. Johnny's enjoying the date. Aisha? Not so much. She starts complaining. Playa arrives. Aisha walks off, and Johnny uses the moment to fill Playa in on what he's learned from Aisha's sister. Tanya, another Vice King's lieutenant, has been sleeping her way to the top, playing both Warren Williams, the gang's number man, and Big Tony, Benjamin King's bodyguard. Johnny's plan to strike back is simple. Mess with Tanya by targeting her brothel in Prawn Court. Playa storms the area, wipes out everyone inside, and weakens Tanya's influence. The scene then cuts to the Vice King's office, where Benjamin King, Big Tony, and Warren Williams discuss business. The divide between King and his lieutenants is starting to show as the Saints' moves begin to put serious pressure on the gang.
How much is this studio incident gonna set us back?
The incident? I'm sorry. I thought some motherfuckers blew up my shit. I didn't realize it ain't no thing.
How much?
Including loss of revenue from Aisha's death, I'd say we talking millions.
Okay, we got a few contractors that owe us. Convince them to hook us up. That takes care of the building. As for Aisha, throw together some memorial box set. People eat that shit up. That should recoup some of our losses. How's Tanya's side of things?
Grip is short, Mr. King.
I'm not happy, Anthony. You said she could handle it.
It's not her fault, Mr. King. The Saints have been fucking with her.
That's what I'm talking about. Are you gonna let these bitches disrespect us?
Everybody calm the fuck down. We ain't gonna start a war every time some motherfuckers act hard.
We gotta talk about the Saints.
Thank you.
Hey, baby. They've taken Prawn Court.
How did this happen?
How the fuck you think it happened? Look, we need to get together here and just...
What we need is for you to shut the fuck up. You feel me?
Yeah.
What?
Yes, Mr. King.
I'll have Monroe put some pressure on the Saints. While they're distracted, it should be easy to take back what's ours. Everything else is business as usual. Understood? Now, this meeting is over.
After a call from Johnny Gap, Playa learns that the Vice Kings are making a move to reclaim the brothel in Prawn Court. Playa heads over, takes out the lieutenants leading the counterattack, and keeps the brothel under Saints' control. Back at the church, Johnny is like a kid in a toy store, browsing his weapons and deciding which one to use for their strike against the Vice Kings. He settles on a shotgun, and the two gear up and roll out. The destination is an abandoned police station. On the way, Johnny vents about Big Tony, saying he wants to take him down largely because of how Julius hypes him up. When they arrive, Playa and Johnny cut through waves of Vice Kings until they finally corner Tanya and Big Tony. But the tables turn. Johnny is grabbed in the chaos, leaving Playa no choice but to retreat with the cops closing in. Playa slips away to protect Saints Row while Johnny is taken hostage.
How about you drop the gun, honey?
If I were you, I'd listen to the lady.
Well, of course you would, you being her bitch.
Watch your fucking mouth.
Hey, no reason to be hostile.
You packing anything else?
Just some rubbers. I was hoping I could get some of William's sloppy seconds. Guess I hit a nerve.
Do yourself a favor, stay down and shut the fuck up. You 3rd Street motherfuckers think you so smart. Well, check this out. We ain't impressed. Hell, the only reason you got as far as you did was cause King let you. We led you right to where we wanted you, and now the police gonna finish your ass for good, just the way we planned.
Well, that explains how your bitch lost Prawn Court.
Are you gonna let him talk about me like that?
Don't worry, baby, I got this.
Yeah, Tanya, shut the fuck up.
I thought I told you to be quiet.
I got shitty hearing.
Now you got a shitty leg.
So do you.
Go now!
Baby, we better call King.
At Vice King headquarters, Benjamin King gets an update from Big Tony. Johnny Gat is still being held hostage. Warren asks what the next move is, but King says they wait. Warren hates the idea, insisting the Saints are still getting the upper hand. He pushes to send a team to wipe them out, but King shuts it down, telling Warren to focus on the music while the cops deal with the Saints. King's calm approach eventually gets Warren to back down, but Johnny remains in captivity. Back at the church, Julius, Dex, and Aisha are planning Johnny's rescue when Playa arrives to hear the details. Dex explains the root of the tension. Johnny insulted Tanya, saying he wanted Warren's sloppy seconds while Big Tony was present. Tony didn't realize Tanya was being unfaithful, so now he has her under constant watch, except when she visits the recording studio Warren is rebuilding. Julius chimes in with the plan. Tanya arrives there in a limo to hook up with Warren, then returns to Tony. Playa will intercept her by posing as her chauffeur, drive her to Tony's condo, and take the shot at Big Tony. Before Playa leaves, Aisha quietly asks him to bring Johnny back and not to let Johnny know that she was worried. Lighting a candle, she says a prayer for his safety. Playa then heads to the half-rebuilt recording studio, watches Tanya go inside, then eliminates her driver and takes his place. He chauffeurs Tanya around as she wastes time shopping, then makes a stop to Prawn Court at Friendly Fire. Midway through, Julius radios in with bad news. Some of the Saints didn't know about the plan and are about to launch a hit on Tanya. Not wanting to lose any Saints, Playa evades them and delivers Tanya safely to Tony's condo. Once there, Playa makes his move, killing Big Tony and taking a major piece off the Vice King's board.
Don't you
Hey, not to be pushy or nothing, but how about you get me out of this fucking chair? About fucking time you got here. Where's Green? That's much better. I heard Green say that he's got some heavy shit in the back. I'll have some of our boys roll on over and bring the hardware back to the crib.
Now free, Johnny Gas sporting a robotic leg meets with Dex at Sloppy Seconds to plan their next move. The two clash immediately. Dex prefers a calculated strategy, while Johnny wants to go in guns blazing. Dex lays out his plan, saying he suspects Benjamin King has a deal with the police and intends to figure it out soon. In the meantime, he wants Johnny and Playa to cause chaos disguised as Vice Kings, drawing heat from the cops and straining that relationship. Dressed head to toe like Vice Kings, Johnny and Player hit the streets, racking up attention from both the police and the media, killing shopkeepers, bowling with cars, and even demolishing a statue with a bulldozer. Meanwhile, King is on the phone with an alderman, insisting the bad press isn't coming from his crew but from the Saints. After the call, Warren is furious about the Rice King's cozy relationship with City Hall. He claims the gang is looking weak and flashes his gun as a reminder that real power comes from fear. King, visibly irritated, dismisses Warren from his office. Back at the Row, Dex points out how the cops have been accepting protection payoffs from King, explaining why the Vice Kings have been operating so freely. He suggests exposing it to the public, but Johnny arrives with a trunk full of RPGs, preferring a more explosive approach. When Dex asks where those came from, Johnny casually explains he lifted them from Big Tony's apartment. Johnny's plan is straightforward. Hit the cops while they're picking up protection money from the Vice Kings. The way he sees it, if those officers are taken out, questions will start flying, forcing the police to turn on King to save face. Johnny and Player hit multiple meetings between cops and the Vice Kings, leaving nothing standing. To finish the job, Johnny packs a car with dynamite and drives it straight into the Vice King's recording studio, blowing it sky high. After this, Ben King is back on the phone, and when he gets off, it's here where Warren tries to make a pawn out of King.
Hello? Hey, it's good to hear from... What? Wait, slow down. What are you saying? Look, our arrangement has been beneficial for both parties. Look, why don't we talk about this tonight over dinner? I'm sure we can work this out, okay? All right. See you tonight. Goodbye.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Who said you could come in here?
We need to talk.
Do we now?
You've been putting yourself before the crew.
Keep talking, little nigga.
If you hadn't wasted our time sticking your nose up them white boys' asses, we could have owned the whole damn game by now.
I told you before, we ain't getting into that shit.
And why the fuck not? That's where the money is. Man, if you got down with that shit back in the day, the Carnales would have been ghosts right now. But you didn't, did you? You were too much of a pussy then, and you're too much of a pussy now. Fuck!
You forgot who you talking to. My name is Benjamin motherfucking King. I'm the man who took my crew from being a bunch of baby gangsters in Sunnyvale to being one of the most influential and feared forces in the goddamn city. You know how I did that? I said, you know how I did that?
Mr. King?
I did it by knowing when it was time to build, when it was time to watch, and when it was time to act. I'm through carrying your punk ass. If I were you, I'd drop them damn flags and get the fuck out of here before I erase your ass.
I ain't going nowhere.
You ain't hearing me, son. I said...
Yo, fuck that. You ain't hearing me.
What is this?
I built, I watched, and now I'm acting.
At the church, Player finds a note from Johnny Gat saying he's out with Aisha and that Player should take the day off. Before Player can process it, Julius storms in looking for Johnny. When he hears Johnny isn't around, Julius curses under his breath. He's just gotten a call from Benjamin King. Julius fills Player in. Warren has made his move to dethrone King. Now King is pinned down in the park and needs backup. Julius orders Player to help him, citing the brotherhood bond that the two leaders share in their past. Player heads to the museum where King is holding his ground against his former crew. Together they cut through waves of Vice Kings before chasing down Warren. After a fierce pursuit, they take him out, or so it seems. Warren survives the earlier crash, only to be betrayed by someone he never saw coming.
Hey, baby.
The fuck you standing around for? Give me a fucking hand! Little nigga, huh? It's okay who the little nigga is. His motherfucking ass is mine. Hey, yo, Tanya! What's going on?
You're a bright boy. I'm sure you can figure it out.
Bitch, you better not miss, cause if...
Thanks for the advice.
Back at the church, Julius, Johnny, King, and Playa meet. Julius apologizes for Big Tony's death, but King brushes it off as business, no hard feelings. When King suggests killing Tiny so he can retake control, Julius shuts it down, saying the deal was to save him, not keep the Vice Kings alive. As far as Julius is concerned, the gang is finished. He gives King an ultimatum: stand with the Vice Kings and die, or walk away. King refuses to walk until Tanya is dealt with. After a tense handshake, they settle on a plan. King knows where Tanya's people hang out. The Saints will roll in, stir the hornet's nest, and lead the Kings straight to the police checkpoints. Player serves as the wheelman, driving King through the city while learning more about Julius along the way, including how he grew up in Sunnyvale and stole his speech about gang colors. One by one, they lure Vice Kings into ambushes and let the cops do the rest. Back at the church, Johnny informs Playa that Tanya's leadership hasn't gone smoothly. The Vice Kings are divided. It's a perfect time to finish them. Johnny doubts King's resolve, suspecting he's gone soft, until King walks in, shotgun in hand, declaring he's ready to handle his business. Satisfied, Johnny joins him and Playa as they storm the Vice King's headquarters and bring it all to an end, giving Tanya a fall from grace.
Where now?
The penthouse.
I'm gonna skull fuck that bitch.
Hope you don't mind hepatitis.
What?
Some guys just never get enough of me.
I've had more than my fill, bitch.
It's over, girl. You're not gonna be able to fuck your way out of this one.
That's cute, sweetie. That's just precious. Please! Please don't!
Oh, Tanya. Do yourself a favor and die with some dignity.
That sucks for your car. We better get out of here. The cops will be here soon. You coming, King?
All right, let's go.
Hey, I know what you told Julius and all, but why don't you stick around and roll with us? I'm sure he wouldn't mind having you around.
Don't bet on that.
You think you could find a way back to the row on your own? Aisha, you know. The pussy calls.
You did good in there, son. Here. I don't think I'll be needing these anymore.
Now that we covered both the Carnales and Vice Kings, let's jump into the Westside Rollerz. Over at a parking lot, Lynn, disguised as a Westside Rollerz member, is approached by two roller guys who compliment her car. She brushes them off, calling them a-holes. As they leave, Playa arrives, and Lynn fills them in. She hasn't gotten much intel yet, but she's heard about a shipment of high-performance cars coming in soon. Her plan is simple. Hijack the truck hauling the cars before it reaches its destination, take it to Samson so he can sabotage them, and then return the cars to their original drop-off point. Playa pulls it off, delivering the cars to Samson without a hitch. Later, Lynn calls Playa to meet her at a nightclub. On the dance floor, posing like they're just having fun, she explains the twist. Samson rigged the cars to explode when they hit a certain temperature. She needs Playa to enter a race in Chinatown, push the roller drivers hard, and get those engines hot enough to blow. Outside the club, Troy makes a surprise appearance, saying he doesn't care what Lynn's plan is. He'll get close to the cars himself and handle the rollers. On the way to the race, Troy voices his distrust of Lynn's undercover work, warning that the longer she stays in deep cover, the more she'll start thinking like them. During the race, Troy taunts the drivers, baiting them into pushing their cars to the limit until the rigs overheat and explode. With the race over, Playa gets another call from Lynn, this time asking to meet at a tea house in Chinatown. there, Lynn explains that Joseph Price calls the shots for the Rollerz and is tight with a mechanic named Donnie. If they can get on Price's good side, they'll always be one step ahead. Lynn orders Player to hit Donnie's shop hard, rough up the place, and take out his bodyguards and make it look like Donnie's next. She'll then swoop in, save him, winning his trust. Player carries out the plan, tearing through Donnie's shop and clearing out his guards. Donnie bolts, only to be rescued by Lynn, exactly as planned.
Johnny, get down! What are you waiting for? Get in!
We gotta get out of here!
I think you scratched my hood.
Look,
Motherfucker.
Who are you?
I'm Lynn. And you're welcome.
Now on good terms with Donnie, Lynn learns where Joseph Price holds his meetings. Player arrives early, hiding near a window to watch it unfold. Inside, Price is meeting with his uncle, Will Sharp, when Donnie shows up with Lynn in tow. Lynn gets introduced to Sharp and confidently declares herself the best racer to ever come out of Chinatown. Price, skeptical, asks why he never heard of her. Lynn bluntly says it's because of her anatomy, prompting Price to make a crude joke, which earns him a solid chin check from Lynn. Rubbing his jaw, Price walks away as Sharp reminds him that he has another meeting. Donnie starts talking to Sharp about a convoy, but quickly tries to cut the conversation short since he doesn't fully trust Lynn yet. Sharp then leaves saying he has an important call to make. Outside, Player intercepts the Rollerz attempt to hit the convoy, protecting the trucks. Later, Lynn and Donnie are relaxing on the couch sharing a roach when Price walks in with Sharp, furious that all the convoys got away. Learning the Saints were behind it, Price slaps a roach from Donnie's hand and demands he focus. In the heat of the moment, Donnie lets slip that Mr. Sharp has overseas buyers looking for parts. Sharp cuts him off and Donnie quickly pivots, saying he and Lynn should work together on a plan. Lynn plays along, saying she's all in. Back at Sharp's mansion, Sharp tells Price he won't let Donnie ruin the operation. Just then, Lynn and Donnie arrive with a proposal. Steal a selection of key cars to strip for the overseas buyers. Price rallies the crew while Sharp insults Donnie, prompting Lynn to step in to defend him. Lynn then calls Player, filling him in on the plan and asking him to make sure the Rollerz can't secure the cars. Player does his part, sabotaging their efforts. Afterward, back at the mansion, Sharp and Price start to see this as less of a coincidence and more like a sabotage.
Later. Fuck!
That was productive.
That's the second time the Saints fucked us!
3 times, if you count the attack on the garage. Quite a coincidence.
What do you mean?
Well, let's think. The same 4 people knew about those jobs. If I didn't sell us out, and you didn't sell us out, who else is there?
Donnie? Donnie may not like it when things get messy, but there's no way he'd turn on me.
Which brings us to...
Lynn.
Bravo.
This is gonna be a bitch to explain to Donnie.
Luckily, you're not going to.
What do you mean?
Please, you're too attached to the boy. I'll handle this.
I don't give a shit what you do to Lynn, but you better not hurt Donnie.
Of course, Joseph. I'll keep that in mind.
Back at the church, Player is sitting down when Julius compliments the progress being made against the Rollerz. In the middle of their talk, Player gets a call from Lynn, who says to meet her at the pool hall. The Rollerz are about to make a big move. The scene shifts to the pool hall where Lynn's cover has been blown. Mr. Sharp has her tied up, waiting for Player to walk into the trap. When Player arrives, Roller members ambush him, but he fights his way through, taking them down one by one. Reaching the back room, Player finds Lynn bound to a chair. As he starts untying her, he's blindsided by a bat and knocked unconscious. When Player comes to, he's trapped in the trunk of Sharp's car alongside Lynn. Donnie opens the trunk and is met with a sight that shakes him to his core. Something so traumatic, he immediately runs away, unable to face the truth.
What are you doing driving Lynn's ride, Mr. Sharp?
I'm glad you could make it, Donnie. There's something I want you to see.
Stay calm. We're gonna get out of this.
Lynn?
Donnie, listen to me! I swear to God!
Lynn!
Take a deep breath and count to 10, Donnie.
Count to 10? You just shot my girl!
Yes, it's tragic. Could you give me a hand here?
Why did you...
Lynn was working with the Saints. Now, would you give me a hand? This car is heavy.
Donnie, where are you going?
Children.
Stay calm. We're gonna get out of this. I think I found my lighter. Did you hear that asshole, Donnie? He said I was his girl.
Somehow, someway, Playa survives the assassination attempt, but Lynn isn't as fortunate, drowning inside the submerged car. Back on his feet, Playa immediately makes a move on Will Sharp to avenge her death. After chasing him down, Playa disables Sharp's vehicle and finishes him off. Back at the church, the Saints mourn Lynn's loss. Julius tells Playa he saw the news. Lynn's body was found floating in the river. He warns that Johnny is going to take it hard and will be out for revenge. The scene shifts to the Rollerz, where Joseph Price rallies his crew for an all-out assault on the Saints. As they roll towards the row, Julius refuses to sit and wait. He wants to take the fight to them. Just then, Troy arrives, warning that a massive Rollerz wave is already headed their way. With no time to grieve, Julius and Playa drive out to thin their numbers. When they catch up to Price, Playa opens fire, forcing Price to brake check Julius. The hit sends Playa flying out of the car, allowing Price to escape. Julius cracks a joke about wearing a seatbelt before they return to the row and wait for another shot. It comes soon enough. Price calls Playa, telling him to meet at a car dealership to settle things once and for all. When Playa arrives, Price tries to run him down, kicking off a high-speed chase. Playa hunts Price on the highway, finally taking out his truck and ending the Westside Rollerz run in Stillwater once and for all.
That was a hell of an explosion. You okay, Playa?
I got ran over by a motherfucking truck. What you think?
Oh, quit being a bitch. We didn't fuck the Rollerz hard. They ain't got nothing left. There are a few loose ends, though. Like, who the fuck those buyers are Sharp was talking about? I got a feeling some shit going on we don't know about. I'll catch you later at the church.
With all three gangs crushed, the Saints can finally enjoy the fruits of their labor. Julius calls Playa, thanking him for everything he's done to secure their victory, while also acknowledging the loss that they suffered along the way. Julius makes it official. Playa is now his right-hand man. As they talk, Julius is unexpectedly pulled over. The scene cuts, leaving the outcome unknown, leaving the door open.
We did it, Playa. 3rd Street owns this town. Now, that's not to say shit didn't cost. And I ain't talking about what happened to Johnny's leg or losing Lynn. Those two were soldiers. They knew the risk. Hell, Johnny gets off on it. We crushed a lot of families, Playa, and someday they're gonna holler at us. But believe me when I tell you, we did the right thing. With the Rollerz wiped out, Benjamin gone, and the Colombians in our pocket, there ain't gonna be a need for a gang war ever again. And in the end, that's gonna save a lot more lives than we took. So relax, Playa. You earned yourself a break. You've impressed the hell out of me, son. And I told the crew, you're gonna be my right hand. Hold up. Some Barry just turned on his flashes. Yeah, Playa. I think I'm gonna have to call you back. This may take a while.
Just say the word.
As the credits roll and it seems the story is over, another task suddenly appears. Chief Monroe calls Player, revealing that Julius has been kidnapped. He also reminds Player that the Saints' stunt with the rocket launcher during the Vice King's takedown cost the city a fortune. Monroe explains there's a political campaign underway, and he wants one of the candidates removed so the election will only have one outcome. His target is Marshal Winslow. The job is simple but brutal. Steal Winslow's campaign bus and park it on the train tracks. Player does exactly that, eliminating Winslow in hopes of securing Julius's release. Back at the church, Johnny and Dex approach Player for the details. Before the conversation can go far, Monroe calls again. He tells Player he's not ready to release Julius just yet. There's more work to be done, and they'll be in touch. Dex suggests waiting to see Monroe's next move, but Johnny immediately shuts that idea down, proposing they blow up City Hall instead. Dex rejects that too, offering a different plan. Since Marshal Winslow was a major public figure, Monroe will have to attend the funeral. If they take him out there, it will send a message. The Saints mean business.
Did you handle it? Where the fuck is Julius?
Have you heard back from Monroe?
Nice work. But I don't think I can let Julius go until you do a little more community service. We'll be in touch.
Looks like we wait.
Why? So we can let this jag-off jerk us around? Fuck that!
And what would you rather do?
You know exactly what I'd like to do.
Johnny, we're not blowing up City Hall.
Hey, I'm just saying, it would solve a lot of problems.
What if they're keeping Julius there?
Alright, but there's gotta be a better plan than let's be Monroe's bitches.
You're right, there is. Marshal Winslow was a major public figure, and you can bet your ass that people would ask questions if the chief of police wasn't at his funeral. I say we hit Monroe during the funeral procession. That should show whoever he's working with that we're not fucking around.
You're saying we should assassinate the chief of police while he's at the funeral of the guy we just smashed?
Yeah.
Don't tease me, Dex.
Let's fucking do it.
Both Dex and Player stake out a good vantage point, waiting for Chief Monroe to make his appearance at the funeral. When the cop cars roll in, the plan quickly unravels. Instead of targeting Monroe directly, they decide to blow up every police vehicle in sight, knowing he's gotta be in at least one of them. Monroe goes down in the chaos, and afterwards, they head to Forgive and Forget to shake off the heat. Soon after, Player gets a call from Alderman Hughes, the same man Benjamin King was once speaking to. Hughes says he got the message loud and clear at the funeral and admits that Monroe had been acting on his own orders to strong-arm the Saints. As a peace offering, Hughes invites Player to his fundraiser that night, promising Julius will be there and they could work something out. That evening, Player meets Hughes face-to-face aboard a luxury yacht, but the conversation takes a turn. Hughes starts by thanking Player for handing him the election. He knew he couldn't beat Marshal Winslow, which is why he had Monroe push the Saints into killing him. He also thanks Player for killing Monroe, which conveniently shifted the negative attention onto the Saints instead of him. Hughes explains how he plans to spin the chaos to his advantage. His Saints Row urban renewal plan was once criticized for displacing the poor, but now it's being praised as cleaning up a hotbed of gang activity. The public, he says, is fickle. In his view, there are only two types of people, winners and losers, and to be a winner, he needs to level Saints Row and salt the earth, wiping out the last gang in Stillwater and cementing his rise to mayor. As Hughes talks, a montage plays. Johnny Gas sleeping while Aisha sits beside the bed. Luz Avelos quietly reflecting on a bridge. Benjamin King leaning on a car deep in thought, and Donnie sitting alone on Lynn's car. Hughes then turns his attention back to Player, making it clear there is no deal to be made. The Saints' second in command can't be reasoned with or brought, so Hughes decides to have Player killed. Across the river, Julius watches the yacht, glancing at his watch before walking away. Alone, Troy turns over a police badge, revealing himself to be an undercover cop the whole time. Hughes, almost smug, jokes about thanking Playa in his acceptance speech, but before he can leave for his party and let his bodyguard finish the job, the yacht suddenly erupts in a massive explosion, cutting to black and ending the game.
Your guest is here, Mr. Hughes. Thanks, Stephen. If you don't mind, could you wait outside? I'm Richard Hughes. It is a pleasure to meet the man who handed me the election. No need to be modest, I'm serious. There's no way I could have beaten Marshal Winslow. God rest his soul. But you made the impossible happen, and for that, I can't thank you enough. I mean, had Winslow been the only person killed, attention would have definitely been cast on me. But after that fireworks display you pulled at his funeral, it's become abundantly clear these horrible crimes were perpetrated by the 3rd Street Saints. While before people criticized my Saints Row urban renewal plan, it is now being lauded. See, until you came along, I was displacing poor people. Now, I'm destroying a hotbed of gang activity. What can I say? The public is fickle. Champagne. As you get older, you quickly learn that there are only 2 types of people in this world. Race, money, gender, none of this matters. At the end of the day, you're either a winner or a loser. Now, the sad truth about our situation is that in order for me to be a winner, I have to level your neighborhood and salt the earth. Hold on for a moment. Stephen, could you come in here? Where was I? Oh yes, salting the earth. Now, I suppose I could try to pay you off, but really, what's the point? You just say no, or in your case, stand there looking intimidating, and we'd be right back to where we started. So I figured I'd cut the middleman and get right to the point.
Hey, yo, can you speed this shit up? I want to go to Freckle Bitches.
You're going to die here, son. Make no mistake about that. But if it makes it any easier on you, I'll be sure to thank you in my acceptance speech. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a party to...
At its core, Saints Row shifts between gritty street-level drama and moments of satirical humor mixed with pure over-the-top crime fantasy. This contrast is front and center in the game's activities. Mayhem, snatch, insurance fraud, each introduced with its own cutscene laying out the job. And while they're played for laughs, it's worth remembering, in the real world, these are major crimes. On the surface, they feel like cartoonish side hustles, but beneath that, they lampoon the darker side of the American dream. Take insurance fraud, one of the series' signature activities. In the Vice Kings version, a crooked lawyer practically encourages players to fling himself into traffic, spinning it as good business.
How many times do I have to explain it to you, Miss Jackson? Do not walk around without your neck brace. If someone catches you, it could severely hurt our chances in court. Just remember, the whiplash has caused you excruciating chronic pain. Got that? Good. Have a good night, Miss Jackson. What can I do for you, young man? Are you looking to put together a case? Before we can file a claim, I need to find something wrong with you. You seem like an enterprising guy. I'm sure you can come up with something.
The Carnales version takes it even further. A doctor boasting about how much money he's costing the insurance companies. In reality, Big Pharma is the kind of powerhouse you don't mess with. Yet here, you're taking the scam right to their doorstep. It's satire with teeth, funny on the surface, but rooted in real-world corruption.
Nice to meet you. I'm Dr. Raymond Gonzalez. I do a lot of consulting for this law firm, and my testimony in court has cost insurance companies millions. Here's the way it works. You throw yourself in harm's way, I write a totally accurate insurance claim, and we all walk away a hell of a lot richer. Almost sounds too good to be true, right?
But Saints Row doesn't always stay in the joke lane. When a story turns serious, it turns serious. The death of Lynn at the hands of William Sharp is one of the gut-punching moments of the story. The Saints don't just lose an ally, they lose a friend. With player being silent throughout most of the game, the scene hits heavier because you feel the weight without needing the words.
Did you catch the news? Looks like they found Lynn's body floating in the river this morning. Sorry, dog. I know you did everything you could. Johnny's gonna take it pretty hard when he finds out. You can bet your ass that he's gonna be calling for blood.
That unpredictability, laughing one minute, dead serious the next, keeps the world of Stillwater feeling alive. Even within each gang's arc, the tone swings. In the Vice King's missions, Johnny Gat often serves as comic relief, dropping jokes about anything, even his own manhood. But beneath that humor is a storyline loaded with betrayal, paranoia, and corruption. The turning point comes when Warren and Tanya betray King, trying to steal the Vice Kings out from under him. This is the moment where King's empire starts to crumble. And then you get moments like Big Tony, who thought Tanya was his girl, but if Warren was talking to him, the Y in your girl would be silent. And Johnny Gat makes it known.
You packing anything else?
Just some rubbers. I was hoping I could get some of William's sloppy seconds. Guess I hit a nerve.
From there, Tony spirals into paranoia, keeping a closer eye on Tanya, while the bigger arc of betrayal looms. Tanya killing Warren to secure power for herself.
Hey, baby.
The fuck you standing around for? Give me a fucking hand! Little nigga, huh? I so care who little nigga is. This motherfucker ass is mine. Hey, yo, Tanya! What's going on?
You're a bright boy. I'm sure you can figure it out.
Bitch, you better not miss, cause if...
Thanks for the advice.
The Vice Kings control more than turf. They've got Benjamin King in Alderman Hughes' pocket and the cops on speed dial. They're the conglomerate every gang wishes they could be. But power like that, not everyone in your own crew will see it the same way.
Great. Now we got your crack-ass friends tripping. Like I said, fucking with City Hall is a waste of time.
Wrong. Working with them is what gives us power.
Yo, fuck that. This is what gives us power.
Now get the fuck out of my office.
This brings me to the core themes of the story. Arcs which each gang in Saints Row can be broken down into what they either have or what they're chasing. They represent three pillars of the criminal underworld. Money, the Vice Kings, power, Los Carnales, and respect, the Westside Rollerz. The Vice Kings, while being a street gang, have some serious cash flow.
How much is this studio incident gonna set us back?
The incident? I'm sorry. I thought some motherfuckers blew up my shit. I didn't realize it ain't no thing.
How much?
Including loss of revenue from Aisha's death, I'd say we talking millions.
Okay, we got a few contractors that owe us. Convince them to hook us up. That takes care of the building. As for Aisha, throw together some memorial box set. People eat that shit up. That should recoup some of our losses.
They've locked down their part of Stillwater, and their income streams are everywhere. A brothel player eventually destroys, Aisha's recording studio, and even a protection racket tied directly to the police. Money cycles through the Vice Kings like blood through a heart, and their reach makes them feel untouchable. The satire here slips into something dead serious when you realize how much it mirrors world corruption, especially in the music industry.
No secret that the label is owned by the Vice King.
But the real deal is that once you're in, you can't get out. They rip you off left and right, and they extort you to stay signed. I've talked to Johnny, and he said that you might be willing to help me.
The Carnales, on the other hand, are all about power. They're the oldest gang in the city with deep roots and the backing of the Colombians, their main drug distributors. Their influence is strong enough to work with dangerous figures like Manuel, and even that foundation starts to crack. Manuel warns Angelo that his father wouldn't have tolerated this level of weakness.
What about this gang from Saints Row? A bunch of mullahs, a nuisance, nothing more. Your father would have killed them all by now. I am not my father. I've noticed.
For all their history, Their Carnales respect is paper thin. Louis having an affair with Manuel behind Angelo's back proves it. By the time we face them in the gang, their empire is already crumbling, and the Saints are just rubbing salt into the wound. Angelo's impulsive decision to storm on Manuel, guns blazing, is a perfect example of how desperation erodes power, and even Dex knew it was a bad idea.
So this guy's the mouthpiece for the Colombians, huh?
Yup.
And he's in town.
Yup.
Interesting.
We've taken out one of the Carnales' legs. We smoked this guy, and they're crippled for good.
Yeah, and so are we. We kill Orejuela, and the Colombians will be all up our ass. Let's figure out what his game is first, and then we'll decide what to do.
Finally, the Westside Rollerz are the new kids on the block. And what they want more than anything is respect. They don't have the money of the Vice Kings or the history of the Carnales, so they make noise, literally, kicking off the City Gang's war by tagging Vice King's turf in the game's opening. It's an early sign that they're willing to pick fights above their weight class just to make a name for themselves.
What you think?
What the fuck you think you're doing?
Just being civic-minded is all.
That's so?
Yeah, some dumbass cracker went and shit all over this wall. We just cleaning it up.
The way Saints Row presents its story is basically a pick-your-path takeover of Stillwater. You can tackle Los Carnales, Vice Kings, and Westside Rollerz in any order, and while that sounds like it could wreck continuity, Volition actually built in some smart guardrails. For example, Johnny Gat only appears in Vice King missions until the very end of the game. That's not random. It's because in the story, Johnny gets his leg shot. If they had him showing up in other gang arcs before he's healed, you'd either have a continuity mess or confuse the average player. The same goes for Lynn, who only appears in Rollerz missions. If she showed up in Carnales or Vice King arcs after her death, it would completely break the emotional weight of her storyline. Then there's Troy, who we learn is an undercover cop. He never shows up in Vice King missions, maybe because the Kings have the cops on their payroll and he'd risk blowing his cover. That detail doesn't jump out at first, but on a replay, it clicks into place. The game also uses continuity as a fun, almost Easter egg way. Take the mission where a player goes undercover as a limo driver for Tanya. She casually takes a shot at Louis from the Carnales, saying what she's walking around with.
I can't believe Luz is still wearing last season's heels.
Until you finish the Carnales arc and face Luis. And this is one of the moments in only the 4 times player speaks and he calls her out for her collection. It's funny, but it shows a bit of continuity.
So what's in here? Guns? Money? Some uncut shit? Shoes?
Actually, they're this season's new.
Hey, bullshit, that's last year's fall collection.
That's not true.
Just let it go, man. No reason to piss off Manuel.
That gag hits differently depending on the order you played the arcs. Do the Carnales first and it's just a quick joke. Do the Vice King verse and it becomes a callback with an added punch. Little touches like this make the city feel connected, even when the story is non-linear. And once you finish the game and know the twists, replaying changes how you see certain scenes. Dialogue takes on new meanings and characters' choices feel more calculated. Nowhere is more true than with Troy's deception. On the first playthrough, you see him as a loyal saint, the guy who saves you at the start and helps you get your first piece. And he rides shotgun without complaint. But in hindsight, the clues are there. He dodges any mission that put him against the Vice Kings. He and Dex always clash in ways that feel personal. Dex even calls it out at one point, saying his thought logic is what a cop would do. Knowing what we know in Saints Row 2, which comes next time, this feels less like a joke and more like a quiet warning. Troy's arc actually has shades of Brian O'Connor from The Fast and Furious, an undercover cop who gets so deep in the life that he starts thinking like the people he's supposed to bust. The key difference is Troy goes back to being a cop, but you can feel he's not the same. Running with the Saints changed him. He's still wearing the badge, but part of him will always be with the Row.
I don't like the idea of Lynn going undercover. You roll with people long enough, and pretty soon you start thinking like them.
At first glance, Saints Row feels like a straight-up turf war between gangs with player carving out a piece of Stillwater block by block. But beneath the drive-bys, drug runs, and explosions, there's another war happening. One we barely notice until it's too late. While the Saints are playing their game in the streets, a political chess match is unfolding over the mayor's seat, and we're just another pawn on the board. From the start, Alderman Hughes is quietly positioning himself against incumbent Mayor Marshall Winslow. On the surface, it's standard election campaign ads, public speeches, and policy debates. But the deeper you look, the more you see that both sides are tied into Stillwater's criminal ecosystem. Hughes has connections with the Vice Kings through Benjamin King, while Chief of Police Monroe, also in Hughes's pocket, uses his badge for justice, but for power plays. Winslow isn't squeaky clean either, but his rejection of Monroe's militarized police funding puts him at odds with Stillwater's corruption pipeline.
Don't worry about it. Look, if it was one of mine, I'll take care of it. But I'm telling you, I don't care what colors they was wearing. It was that crew from Saints Row I was telling you about. No, I'm not making any excuse. I will. Tell your wife I said hello. Goodbye, Alderman.
The game feeds you pieces of this election, mainly through radio and side chatter, not through big flashy mission markers. Hughes sells himself as a man of the people, promising safer streets and a return to the glory days of Stillwater. His first ad plays police safety and militarization, subtly painting Winslow as weak on crime. Winslow fires back, calling out Hughes' proposals as unnecessary and hinting that Monroe's influence would turn the police into his personal army.
Last year, Marshal Winslow rejected Police Chief Monroe's request for extra funding to outfit his SWAT units with the latest peacekeeping equipment, citing that puncture-proof vests and assault rifles should come secondary to developing non-lethal countermeasures. The result? 6 dead officers in as many months. I'm Alderman Richard Hughes, and when I'm elected, I'm going to work with the police, not against them. A policeman's job is dangerous enough. We don't need them to be going into harmful situations at a disadvantage. A well-equipped police force is a deterrent to gangs, which means safer streets and safer schools. So when Election Day rolls around, ask yourself this question: what is my family's safety worth?
But the Saints unknowingly tipped the scales in Hughes' favor, or so it seems. After Johnny Gat's release, he, Player, and Dex run a mission, posing as Vice Kings, trashing Glenview Hills, and even demolishing the Pride of Stillwater statue. This chaos damages the Vice King's image and indirectly sabotages Hughes' campaign, since the Kings are publicly aligned with him. The radio ads shift tone. Hughes tries to spin the statue destruction as a personal attack on Stillwater's spirit, while Winslow downplays its significance and refuses to turn it into a political stunt.
Hello, Stillwater. It's Richard Hughes. It's with great pleasure that I announce the unveiling of our city's latest artistic treasure, the Pride of Stillwater. generously donated by Citizens for Hughes, the Pride of Stillwater is a visual representation not only of the superb talents of Stillwater artisans, but a constant reminder that great men often have to shoulder considerable burden. My friends, I assure you that if you put your faith in me this upcoming election, I will proudly carry our city into a new era of prosperity.
Hello, Stillwater. This is your mayor, Marshall Winslow. As you might have heard, the statue of Alderman Hughes, known as the Pride of Stillwater, was recently vandalized in a very ambitious way. Now, I understand that this wasn't the most popular sculpture on display in our fair city, and that it's had its share of critics. People will always have strong feelings about public artwork, and that's just the way it is. Regardless, we're a great city, and we deserve to have equally great works of art that everyone can enjoy. I assure you that the Pride of Stillwater will be replaced. I've already asked the Parks Commissioner to begin speaking to noted artists, and we'll make sure the next sculpture to grace our community will be more representative of you, the people who call this city home.
Mayor Winslow's hollow response to the destruction of the Pride of Stillwater is simply unacceptable. This was not merely a piece of modern art that was vandalized. This was a symbol the citizens of Stillwater rallied behind, an icon of the people. Its desecration should merit full investigation, not a few half-hearted words at a press conference. However, from the ashes of this tragedy, we will rise stronger than ever. And if whoever is responsible is listening right now, know this: you can smash brick and mortar, you can break brass and steel, but the spirits of the people of Stillwater cannot be crushed.
It's here that the game slyly shows how gang warfare can bleed into politics. In the real world, gangs can and do affect elections, from voter intimidation and territory control to outright bribery and candidate manipulation. The ICE report on transitional gangs breaks this down. Gangs leverage their influence to sway votes, push policies that benefit them, and weaken their institutions meant to hold them accountable. Hughes' relationship with the Vice Kings and Monroe mirrors these real-world patterns. Criminal groups backing candidates who will, in turn, protect their interests. And here's the kicker. In the final stretch of the game, we learned the Saints were never playing their own game. Hughes outright admits he used them. Every gang we took down, every district we seized, every enemy we eliminated, all of it cleared the way for his mayoral victory. The Saints' victories were just Hughes' campaign strategy in disguise.
It is a pleasure to meet the man who handed me the election. No need to be modest, I'm serious. There's no way I could have beaten Marshall Winslow. God rest his soul. But you made the impossible happen, and for that, I can't thank you enough. I mean, had Winslow been the only person killed, attention would have definitely been cast on me. But after that fireworks display you pulled at his funeral, it's become abundantly clear these horrible crimes were perpetrated by the 3rd Street Saints. While before people criticized my Saints Row urban renewal plan, it is now being lauded. See, until you came along, I was displacing poor people. Now, I'm destroying a hotbed of gang activity. What can I say? The public is fickle. Champagne. As you get older, you quickly learn that there are only 2 types of people in this world. Race, money, gender, none of this matters. At the end of the day, you're either a winner or a loser. Now, the sad truth about our situation is that in order for me to be a winner, I have to level your neighborhood and salt the earth.
That's the deeper sting of Saints Row's ending. For all the chaos, explosions, and territory takeovers, Playa wasn't just building the Saints. They were building Hughes' road to power. And when the dust settles, the gangs are gone, the Saints are wounded, and the man in charge of Stillwater isn't Julius, isn't Playa, it's Hughes. The streets may look different, but the game reminds us that power doesn't disappear. It just changes hands. It almost speaks to something Benjamin King says about the cycle of violence and how it truly never ends.
You know that even if you wipe out the Vice Kings, it ain't gonna be over, right? There's always someone looking to take what you have. Some punk who wants to make a name for himself. Some girl you fucked and never called back. The fact is, once you're in the game, yeah, I think that pissed him off.
Now let's get into character analysis, because we have a lot to uncover, starting with Playa. Playa is a definition of a blank slate, a character whose name, past, and even voice are unknown. Much like Claude from GTA 3, his silence works as a double-edged sword. On one hand, it lets the player project themselves fully into the role, making every choice and victory feel personal. On the other hand, it limits the emotional depth we get from him directly. The real emotion comes from how the world reacts to him. In Saints Row, that silence becomes almost intimidating. People know Playa for actions, not words. And in Stillwater, that's the kind of reputation that carries weight. What makes Playa significant in the story isn't just that he survived the Rose gang war, it's that he wins it, only to realize he's been playing someone else's game the entire time. His rise from random bystander caught in the crossfire to Julius's right-hand man mirrors a classic rags to power crime story, but with a Saints Row twist. The victories are real, taking down the Vice Kings, Los Carnales, and Westside Rollerz, but the cost is high. With allies like Lynn dead and Johnny got injured, the game suddenly makes you feel that even if Playa controls the streets, the bigger chessboard is still being moved by people like Hughes and Monroe. By the end, the story stops being just about the Saints and becomes the story of Playa. Hughes' final speech reframes the entire game. Every mission, every gang war, every bullet fired as moves that build his political career, not just the Saints' empire. Playa's silence here speaks volumes. One final quip about freckle bitches, no shouted threat, just the explosion that cuts the screen to black. Whether that's defiance or inevitability is left to the player, but it cements Playa as more than a stand-in. He's a quiet constant in a city built on noise and betrayal.
Where now?
The penthouse.
I'm gonna skull fuck that bitch.
Hope you don't mind hepatitis. What?
By the time we meet Julius Little in Saints Row, he's already a man with history, and if you played the game, you know exactly the kind of leader he is. He grew up alongside Benjamin King in Sunnyvale Gardens, watched Los Carnales take over the neighborhood, and even helped the Vice Kings in an effort to fight back. But when the Kings turned into everything they were supposed to fight against, Julius dropped his flags. Deep down, Julius always wanted to be Benjamin King. Not the ruthless kingpin he became, but the version who actually protected his community. That's the Saint he tries to be when he starts over in Saints Row, building a crew with the goal of wiping out every gang in Stillwater and keeping it under control. Of course, he later admits he was so naive. Julius is the glue that holds the Saints together. He's not just the boss. He's the one who saves Playa from getting eliminated in the very first scene, recruiting him into the Saints without hesitation. He mentors from the sidelines, delegating the gang's arcs to lieutenants like Johnny, Dex, and Lynn, and working toward his vision of a city free from gang violence. Along the way, he crosses paths with King again, and despite their past, he chooses to protect him rather than destroy him. One of the few glimpses we get into Julius's personal code. He's also one of the clearest signs that for all his talk of the greater good, Julius has a hard time separating business from old loyalties. When he's arrested by Troy and used as leverage by Chief Monroe, we see how vulnerable Julius actually is. Playa pulls off Monroe's dirty work, Monroe ends up dead, and Julius is released. But the story doesn't end there. Volition has openly said that Julius's role in the conspiracy against Playa wasn't in the original script. In the planned version, Julius was supposed to be shown injured running through an alley in the final cutscene, but when the animators didn't have the motion capture ready, they recycled the animation of Aisha looking at her watch instead. That unplanned choice became canon, leading directly to Saints Row 2's opening, where it's revealed that Julius planted the bomb on Alderman Hughes' yacht, intending to eliminate Playa. Just take a listen to Volition speaking here, because it's the moment that retroactively changes how we see him and the entire series as a whole.
No one ever knows, but
that's a good one.
at the end of SR1, and we don't know how it happened. I could probably dig through some emails.
I can tell you how it happened.
You know how it happened?
I know exactly how it happened.
I never was aware until Steve told me this on SR2. It's like egregious error.
So on Saints Row,
huge.
So Saints Row 1 ends with this. It was supposed to be this cliffhanger ending of the bomb blows up and the player is caught in this explosion and everyone wants to find who set the bomb, who set the bomb. And I remember I finally watched the cutscene when I came back. I was always excited to see what does this cutscene look like. And I watched the ending cinematic of the game, and it's like everyone is like cutting away to this boat, and you're kind of people like looking at classifying who's who could be the person, who could be the person. And then there's this one shot where it's Julius standing looking at his watch and looking at the boat like what the fuck is this? Like, I'm like oh my god, like what happened? And be like what do you mean? Like in the script it says that he's running down an alleyway, broken and bloody, like he just escaped capture and he's running for his life. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, he's supposed to be like scared. Like what happened? And so but then they changed it in the final cinematic. It's just him like, yep. Throw that shit up, and so like, oh man, I guess Julius is guilty. And what ended up happening was in the mocap shoot. They had the animatic, and it was in T-pose, and Julius was in T-pose, and they had him sliding down a road. And so the guys at the shoot were like, well, fuck, dude, we don't want to go and have to capture. We don't want to capture this guy like running. What's the pain in the ass? It was him standing there looking at his watch, he's in T-pose, and so they did that. And it totally changed the whole franchise. We're like, oh, holy fuck. Like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tim Borelli.
Did he not even have a watch on?
No, it's ridiculous. And so then like, well, what do we do for Saints Row 2? Like, well, Julius killed the player because like, what else are we gonna go and do? Because he's standing there checking out his watch. And if anyone's other than Julius that blew up this boat, then we're lying to everybody. Like, this is the moment. And so yeah, we totally
know that backstory.
No, we totally changed. We totally changed the direction of the franchise. Yeah,
unintentionally.
Jeff and Tim.
Of course, none of this would hit the same without Keith David's performance. His voice gives Julius gravitas, that mix of wisdom, conviction, and quiet threat that makes you believe he could run a gang and inspire loyalty without raising his voice. In Saints Row, Julius is a leader trying to do right in the wrongest of worlds. He's not perfect. His saints still fall into the same traps as the Vice Kings, but his presence gives this game a backbone. By the end, whether you see him as a visionary, a hypocrite, or a survivor, Julius is proof that in Stillwater, even the man with the clearest path can get caught in the game and start playing for himself.
Looking good, Ben.
Been a long time, Jules.
Sorry about Anthony.
That was business. Let it go.
So what's the plan?
We kill Tanya, and I get back to business.
I don't think so, Benjamin.
What?
I said no. You alive, we straight. But the Vice Kings, they're through.
Then kill me. Quit wasting my goddamn time.
Well, you got a choice. You can keep your fucking pride and die right now. Or you can be a man and walk away.
When did you get the balls, Jules?
What's it gonna be?
I ain't walking away.
Fair enough. Johnny?
I ain't walking away until I deal with Tanya.
My nigga.
Troy Bradshaw is one of Saints Row's most interesting cases of a character hiding in plain sight. From the very first mission, he's right there alongside Julius, pulling player out of a turf war crossfire and welcoming them to the 3rd Street Saints. To the player, he's a saint, loyal, dependable, and down for the cause. But even his name is a clue. Troy doesn't just sound like a regular guy you meet on the road. It calls back to Troy, the city the Trojan horse was wheeled into during the famous myth. And like that wooden horse, Troy's true nature is concealed, waiting for the right moment to come spilling out. By the game's end, we find out he's been an undercover cop the whole time, and suddenly every subtle hesitation and sideways comment makes a lot more sense. Michael Rappaport, who also voiced Joseph Leone in GTA 3, gives Troy a very grounded streetwise delivery that works on 2 levels. On the surface, it's just the voice of another saint, cracking wise and talking shop. But underneath is the voice of someone who's always calculating, always aware of the badge in his back pocket. Throughout the game, Troy is constantly asking questions, pushing for plans that minimize police casualties, and avoiding anything that will put him too close to the Vice Kings, which is the gang that has the cops in their pocket. To us, in the moment, it just seems like he's being cautious. On replay, it's clear these were survival tactics to keep his cover intact. The real hook with Troy is his internal conflict. He starts off as a cop with a job to do: infiltrate the Saints, help bring down the gangs, and get out. But over time, he starts picking up the Saints mentality. His comment in a Rollerz mission says this:
I don't like the idea of Lynn going undercover. You roll with people long enough, and pretty soon you start thinking like them.
This is telling because it's exactly what's happening to him. He's laughing with the people, bleeding with them, and building real bonds, all while knowing one day he might have to put cuffs on them. That's why his reveal in the ending cutscene is played with regret, not triumph. He didn't want to arrest Julius, but the system he serves, loyalty to the badge, comes first. Looking back, like I said earlier, Troy's arc feels like a street-level version of Brian O'Connor from the Fast and Furious. The only difference is Troy goes back to being a cop. Running with the Saints changed him, just as much as his betrayal changes how we see the entire first game. On the second playthrough, you realize that the Trojan horse wasn't just a clever nod to the manual. It was the blueprint for how Troy fits into the Saints' story.
He just got back from a sit-down with Orejuela, and they came to an interesting agreement. If we can get back all the drugs the cops seized, the Colombians are willing to work with us exclusively. We'll have a lock on the whole city.
Get the drugs back from the cops? How the fuck are we gonna do that?
We're taking out the police station.
Are you out of your fucking mind? They'd lock the place down before you'd get anywhere.
It's Julius's plan. He called it, we have to go with it.
No, we don't. If you load a car up with some explosives, you could blow a hole right into the evidence locker and never have to fire a shot.
That might lower the body count.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, let's do it.
Johnny Gat is the Saints' definition of controlled chaos. Emphasis on chaos. From the moment player meets him, Gat makes it clear he's not the kind of guy who worries about collateral damage, consequences, or subtlety. If the problem can't be solved with a gun, explosive, or a sarcastic one-liner, Johnny's not interested. He's all impulsive, all attitude, and somehow that works perfectly for the Saints' brand of gang warfare. Gat's introduction, complete with an autonomy joke that's pure Johnny, tells you everything you need to know. He's confident, reckless, and impossible to intimidate. In the game, Gat is the Saints' hammer against the Vice Kings, a role he relishes. His plans are never about infiltration or negotiation. They're about making the biggest mess possible. Blowing up a recording studio with a trunk full of C4? For Johnny, that's just another Tuesday. Yet beneath the swagger and ultra-violence, there's a strange mix of loyalty and respect. His admiration for Benjamin King shows he can recognize strength and leadership in others, even if they're on opposite sides. And while his leg injury at the hands of Big Tony could have sidelined him, Johnny refuses to stay down. A stubbornness that's as much his trademark as his sunglasses and gold jewelry. Johnny Gat is brought to life by Daniel Day Kim, an actor who deserves his flowers. His smooth delivery on Gat gives him the right feeling, making him funny and arrogant at the same time. But Gat isn't just a walking explosion either. His personal life, especially his relationship with Aisha, adds another layer. He's fiercely protective of her, and while their romance takes hits during the Vice King's war, he still makes time for gestures like showing up with flowers after the dust settles. It's almost jarring to see him shift from blowing up city blocks to trying to patch up his love life. But that's the duality of Johnny Gat in Saints Row. He's a guy who you want on your side in a firefight, the guy you don't want on your enemies to meet, and somehow the guy who still remembered to pick up a bouquet on the way home.
Good thing you're here. I was about to leave without you. Now, I don't think I'm feeling the bat today. This is always the hardest part for me, you know? Balancing stopping power with personal enjoyment. Ooh, yeah, I'm feeling this. It ain't gonna be easy clearing all those VKs out of the station, so I told my crew to meet us there. Let's ride.
Aisha is one of the few characters in Saints Row who reminds you that there's life in Stillwater outside of gang wars and territory takeovers. And maybe that's why she stands out so much. She's Stillwater's local girl done good, a singer who clawed her way from the road streets to national charts, only to find the music industry is just another hustle. Signed to Kingdom Come Records, the Vice Kings public front, Aisha learns quickly that fame in Stillwater comes with strings attached, and those strings are usually wrapped around someone else's fingers. What makes Aisha work as a character is the way she contrasts with Johnny. Where Johnny thrives on chaos, Aisha brings a sense of focus and grounding. She's not naive, she knows how dangerous Stillwater is, and she's not above using the Saints to help her escape it. But she's also the person who can get Johnny to step back from the edge, even if just for a moment. Their dynamic shows a side of Gat we rarely see. Loyalty that isn't tied to a gang, but to a person. When they fake her death, cut ties to the Vice Kings, it's not just a plot point. It's a glimpse into the lengths Johnny will go to protect her, even if it means leveling a recording studio with a car bomb. Aisha's presence also highlights one of Saints Row's recurring themes. Corruption isn't limited to street corners and back alleys. The music industry here is just another racket, complete with extortion, exploitation, and manufactured grief. Benjamin King's suggestion to release a memorial box set after her alleged death isn't about honoring her, it's about profit. And in true Stillwater fashion, even her escape from the Vice Kings becomes another way for someone else to make money. Cy Smith's performance, blending her own musical background with Aisha's mix of ambition and exhaustion, makes the character feel lived in, a survivor of both the streets and the stage, trying to keep her humanity intact in a city that eats people alive.
I know you're supposed to be dead and all, but you have to look this pissed?
Johnny, you said you'd take me out to dinner.
And here we are.
At Freckle Bitches?
Where else would we go?
Someplace good? Why couldn't you have taken me to Mykonos?
Aisha, it's not like... Hey, what's up? Perfect timing.
You boys talk. I'll be right back.
Whatever. She don't appreciate fine dining.
Dex is the Saints' strategist. The guy who actually stops to think before pulling a trigger. In a gang where half the members would rather solve problems with an RPG, Dex plays the long game. Julius puts him in charge of taking down Los Carnales, and while Johnny Gat is blowing up Vice King's property for fun, Dex is quietly dismantling a cartel with calculated strikes. He's the one who'd rather draw maps than blood, not because he's afraid of a fight, but because he knows you can win a war before it starts if you plan it right. That said, being the voice of reason in Stillwater is a lonely job. Street talk from the nameless Saints hint that not everyone thought Dex deserved his post. Some even suspected he might challenge Julius for leadership one day. Whether that's paranoia or foreshadowing is up for debate, but it adds a layer to his cool-headed demeanor. You start to wonder if he's playing the long game inside the Saints too. His clashes with Johnny Gat aren't just personality differences. They're a preview of how two wildly different approaches to power can exist under the same banner, for now.
Dex, don't worry, I have a plan. Johnny, your idea of a plan is taking the biggest hammer you can find and smashing whatever's in your way.
Well, that sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah, a shitty one, as your whack-ass robo-leg clearly proves.
Oh, fuck you.
Next time you try that cowboy shit, you might not walk away at all.
No, seriously. Fuck you.
Lynn is the Saints' sharpest wheelwoman and a self-proclaimed best racer to ever come out of Chinatown. But her real skill in Saints Row isn't just behind the wheel. It's living on the knife's edge of deception. Julia sends her deep undercover with the Westside Rollerz, and from the moment we meet her, it's clear she's not the type to blink under pressure. Cold, calculated, and willing to drop bodies mid-conversation if it serves the mission. Lynn approaches the Rollerz like a chessboard, every move designed to get her closer to Joseph Price and financier William Sharp. Her relationship with Donnie becomes the linchpin of that infiltration. On the surface, it's a risky love interest subplot, but narratively, it's a calculated move. Gain Donnie's trust, gain access to Price's inner circle. The tragedy is that Donnie's trust is real, and when Sharp uncovers a betrayal, the consequences are swift and brutal. Lynn's execution, tied up and dumped into the river alongside Playa, isn't just one of Saints Row's most shocking moments. It's the first major allied death in the series. It also is one of rare scenes where Playa's silence feels heavier than words, as you're forced to watch her drown after she frees you. Lynn's death ripples through the narrative in subtle ways. Julius calls her a soldier who knew the risks, but you can hear the loss under his leadership mask. Troy's earlier warnings about going undercover, you roll with people long enough and you start thinking like them, suddenly sound prophetic. And Donnie's grief lingers beyond this game, showing up years later as one of the few long-running emotional threads in a franchise known for chaos. Lynn is brought to life by General Hospital actress Tia Curry. She's better known for her role as Nani in the animated version of Lilo and Stitch. Lynn's arc is a reminder that in Saints Row, the streets don't just chew up enemies. They take your own people too.
Don't talk to him like that.
I'll take your advice to heart.
It's not advice.
A threat? Huh. How refreshing.
Listen up, you
Lynn, don't worry about it.
Shut up, Donnie.
You were saying...
I was about to tell you to go fuck yourself.
And here I thought we were bonding.
Let's go, Donnie.
That's probably the smartest thing you've said all day.
Benjamin King isn't just the head of the Vice Kings. His very name is the brand. Benjamin calls to mind $100 bills, and King evokes royalty. Together, it's the perfect emblem for a gang built on the pillars of wealth, status, and control. King's rule over Stillwater's most polished criminal empire is a far cry from the Sunnyvale Garden street soldier he once was alongside Julius Little. Back then, the Vice Kings were born out of resistance, fighting Los Carnales to protect their neighborhood. But where Julius walked away when the fight became about power, King embraced it, swapping his bandana for a suit and tie without ever truly leaving the streets behind. By the time player arrives on the scene, King has crafted a public persona that blends philanthropist and businessman, the kind of man who can smile for the Stillwater Post one day and call in favor from the police chief the next. His empire is neatly compartmentalized. Big Tony as the enforcer, Warren Williams running the music front, and Tanya Winters managing the brothel. But his refusal to get into drugs, a line he won't cross, creates cracks in his leadership. When that moral boundary collides with his lieutenant's ambition, it sets off a coup that forces King to crawl back to the man who knows him best, Julius. Their reunion reveals a bond older than the Saints themselves, a reminder that for all the blood and betrayal, these men share a history deeper than gang colors. King's exit from the stage is as calculated as his career, wrapping up his unfinished business with Tanya before walking away from Stillwater entirely. There's a quiet weight to his final scenes, especially when he glances at that old photo of himself and Julius, a private moment of nostalgia for what they were before the city and its money changed everything. He's brought to life by the late Michael Clark Duncan, whose presence loomed large in The Green Mile and Daredevil as the Kingpin. King commands every scene with a mix of gravitas and streetwise authority. In the end, Benjamin King is more than a gang leader. He's the embodiment of what happens when a fight for survival turns into a throne you can't let go of.
Hey, it's good to hear from... What? Wait, slow down. What are you saying? Look, our arrangement has been beneficial for both parties. Look, why don't we talk about this tonight over dinner? I'm sure we can work this out, okay? All right. See you tonight. Goodbye.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Who said you could come in here?
We need to talk.
Do we now?
You've been putting yourself before the crew.
Keep talking, little nigga.
If you hadn't wasted our time sticking your nose up them white boys' asses, we could have owned the whole damn game by now.
I told you before, we ain't getting into that shit.
And why the fuck not? That's where the money is. Man, if you got down with that shit back in the day, the Carnales would have been ghosts right now. But you didn't, did you? You were too much of a pussy then, and you're too much of a pussy now. Fuck!
You forgot who you talking to. My name is Benjamin motherfucking King. I'm the man who took my crew from being a bunch of baby gangsters in Sunnyvale to being one of the most influential and feared forces in the goddamn city. You know how I did that? I said, you know how I did that?
Mr. King?
I did it by knowing when it was time to build, when it was time to watch, and when it was time to act. I'm through carrying your punk ass. If I were you, I'd drop them damn flags and get the fuck out of here before I erase your ass.
Warren Williams is a textbook example of someone who believes their own hype. A second-rate rapper turned third-rate gangster whose ambitions constantly outplace his abilities. Running Kingdom Come Records gives him a platform, but not the respect he desperately craves. The Saints' destruction of the label hits him harder than anyone else, not just for the money loss, but because it feels like a public humiliation. Every time we see him, he's itching to do something about the Saints, yet Benjamin King keeps him on a short leash, reminding them that it's his job to bring in money, not rack up bullet wounds trying to prove he's hard. That constant need to be taken seriously becomes Warren's undoing. His affair with Tanya, while she's tied to Big Tony, hints at both his recklessness and his ego. He wants to be the power player in every room, even when it means stirring up trouble inside his own crew. When the Saints, dressed as Vice Kings, tear up downtown and destroy the pride of Stillwater, Warren's frustration boils over. He argues that real power comes from firepower, not political handshakes with Alderman Hughes. While he holds the gun in King's office, he crosses a line from ambitious and subordinate, and King's patience finally snaps. That final act of defiance turns into a coup, with Warren and Tanya trying to take King out for good. But in true Vice King's fashion, betrayal isn't just business. Tanya guns Warren down herself once she realizes she doesn't need him anymore. His death is almost poetic. A man who spent his entire arc trying to be seen as dangerous is erased without ceremony by someone he thought was an ally. Voiced by O.G. Banks, known for his roles like Miles Morales in Ultimate Spider-Man and Claude Wolf in Monster High, Warren's character oozes confidence, the kind that makes you forget the streets aren't impressed by talk alone.
You ain't hearing me, son. I said...
Yo, fuck that. You ain't hearing me.
What is this?
I built, I watched, and now I'm acting.
Anthony Green, also known as Big Tony, stands as Benjamin King's most trusted enforcer. Not just muscle, but a confidant the Vice King's leader genuinely respects. In a crew full of schemers and opportunists, Tony's loyalty to King is absolute, which makes his eventual fate feel all the more tragic. His relationship with Tanya is complicated enough, but the fact she's secretly involved with Warren Williams adds a quiet layer of betrayal to his story. Despite the chaos swirling inside the Vice King's hierarchy, Green stays focused on doing his job, protecting King and keeping the organization's enemies in check. That loyalty is put into action when he captures Johnny Gat during a Saints raid on Tanya's temporary brothel, holding him hostage in his condo as bait. It's one of the few moments in the Vice King's arc where the Saints are on the back foot, and it's a testament to Tony's effectiveness as an enforcer. But when Player storms in for the rescue, the standoff ends with Green's death, taking one of King's last true allies off the board. He's voiced by T.C. Carson, known for Living Single and a voice of Mace Windu in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Green brings a gravitas to the Vice Kings that makes his absence felt long after he's gone.
Well, of course you would, you being her bitch.
Watch your fucking mouth.
Hey, no reason to be hostile.
You packing anything else?
Just some rubbers. I was hoping I could get some of William's sloppy seconds. Guess I hit a nerve.
Do yourself a favor, stay down and shut the fuck up. You 3rd Street motherfuckers think you so smart. Well, check this out. We ain't impressed. Hell, the only reason you got as far as you did was because King let you. We led you right to where we wanted you, and now the police gonna finish your ass for good, just the way we planned.
Well, that explains how your bitch lost Prawn Court.
Tanya Winters is the definition of ambition wrapped in charm and danger. As a Vice King's lieutenant, she runs the brothel in Prawn Court, and it's her abduction of Aisha's sister that lights the fuse for the Saints to go to war with the Vice Kings. Tanya plays a dangerous game, using her beauty and cunning to keep both her lovers, Benjamin King's enforcer Anthony Green, and Kingdom Come Records head Warren Williams, unaware of just how far her ambitions reach. Beneath the surface, she's not just content with power, she wants the Vice Kings for herself. When Green is killed, Tanya manipulates Warren into leading a coup against King, only to personally put a bullet in Williams' head when he's no longer useful. Briefly, she sits atop what's left of the Vice Kings, but her reign is short-lived. King, Gat, and Playa storm the old penthouse where Tanya controlled crumbles. In her final moments, hanging from a shattered window, she pleads for mercy, but King coldly stomps on her fingers, sending her 30 stories down onto his truck. She's voiced by Mila Kunis, best known for her role in Family Guy as Meg Griffin in That 70s Show. Tanya is a representation that the queen is sometimes the strongest piece on the chessboard, but as we see from her fall from grace in chess, the game is only over when the king is gone.
Some guys just never get enough of me.
I've had more than my fill, bitch.
It's over, girl. You're not gonna be able to fuck your way out of this one.
That's cute, sweetie. That's just precious. Please. Please don't.
Oh, Tanya. Do yourself a favor and die with some dignity.
That sucks for your car. We better get out of here. The cops will be here soon.
Hector Lopez isn't just the leader of Los Carnales. He's the embodiment of their cold, calculated approach to power. Inheriting the gang from his father, Hector rules with an iron grip, keeping his younger brother Angelo on a short leash to prevent his hot-headed impulsiveness from dragging the Carnales into ruin. Disrespect, whether it's a drive-by, a turf tag, or even just a rival presence, is treated not as an inconvenience, but as an act of war. While Angelo thrives on reckless aggression, Hector's strength lies in control and perception. He understands the importance of appearances in the underworld, and he's not above bending the truth to maintain the Carnales image. When the Saints destroy one of his drug plants, he spins it to Colombian cartel representative Manuel as a necessary purge of traitors, hiding the fact that the Saints had outplayed them. That calculated nature makes him dangerous, but it also means his moves are deliberate and slow, giving his enemies just enough space to strike. When the Saints steal one of his drug shipments, Hector responds with overwhelming force, sending Victor Rodriguez and an army of Carnales to the row in an attempt to crush the Saints entirely. But the attack backfires, and the Saints not only survive, they bring the war straight to Hector's doorstep. In a sniper single precise shot during a meeting with the Colombians, Hector's reign comes to an abrupt end. For all his strategy and control, he couldn't foresee that the Saints' most divisive move will also be their quietest.
Everything is under control.
I've heard some nasty rumors, Hector.
Like what?
That one of your drug labs was shut down.
¿Qué eso? No, eso no es un problema. One of our careers thought he could cut the shit out of his deliveries. Looked like we were missing a lot of product. It really was just this pendejo. Hey, Angelo took care of him.
And the drugs?
Found.
What about this gang from Saints Row?
A bunch of mulas, a nuisance, nothing more.
Your father would have killed them all by now.
I am not my father.
I've noticed.
Angelo Lopez might have the title of co-leader of Los Carnales, but in truth, he's living in his brother Hector's shadow. Where Hector is calm and calculating, Angelo is pure impulse, a volatile mix of unchecked machismo and a short fuse that puts him closer in temperament to Johnny Gat than any other tactician. His temperament doesn't just define him, it dictates his decisions, and more often than not, those decisions push the Carnales closer to collapse. When Hector is assassinated by Playa, Angelo inherits the throne, but without his brother's discipline, he leans heavily on Victor Rodriguez for both muscle and direction. His relationship with his girlfriend is equally turbulent. Her obsession with material wealth bothers him, and his frustration boils over into moments of physical aggression. It's a dynamic that shows just how easily Angelo's bravado crumbles when things don't go his way. In the end, Angelo's impulsiveness seals his fate. As Playa and Dex close in, an escape plan falls apart because his girlfriend can't decide what shoes to pick. A moment of almost absurd irony in the middle of a gang war. His private jet never makes it to the runway, brought down in flames by the Saints. For all his posturing and loud defiance, Angelo proves that without discipline and control, a leader is just a man waiting to be outplayed.
Chacho, Luz, mira, I apologized, okay? Now get your ass to the airport. What do you mean, why? Have you seen the house? We gotta get out of town. It doesn't matter. Just pack some things and let's go. For God's sakes, just leave them. I don't give a fuck. They're shoes. Good. I'll be waiting for you. Bye-bye. Get the plane ready. She'll be here soon.
Angelo? We're taking off. You and you. Let's go.
What about Luz?
Fuck her.
Victor Rodriguez is the Carnales' blunt instrument, the guy you send when you don't just want a message delivered, you want it carved into the pavement. A survivor of more than a dozen Vice King drive-bys, Victor built his reputation on sheer durability and an iron will to walk away from situations that should have left him in a body bag. His loyalty to Hector Lopez is absolute, and when the Saints start cutting into Carnales' business, Victor is the first one to take the fight back to Saints Row. After Hector's assassination, Victor shifts his loyalty to Angelo. Though it's clear he's now propping up a weaker leader, his methods stay the same: overwhelming force, direct confrontation, but the results start slipping. Failed ambushes, botched retaliation runs, and a steady loss of ground turn Victor's war into a desperate defense. Even then, he refuses to back down, leading a full-on assault on the Saints Row Church in a last-ditch effort to crush the gang at his heart. It's here that Victor meets his end, not with a whisper, but in an all-out firefight. His armored bulldog reduced to scrap, Victor is finally overwhelmed by the Saints once and for all. Troy's casual cigarette off his burning corpse says everything. For all Victor's toughness, in the end, he was just another casualty in a war the Carnales were destined to lose.
Gracias, Victor.
De nada.
Let's get back to Hector.
Sí, pero primero vamos a golpear a Freckle Bitches.
Cool. I'm buying.
Manuel enters Saints Row as the calm Silvertongue representative of the Colombian cartel, a man whose presence alone signals just how much weight the Carnales once carried. He's not just a soldier on the front lines, but a power broker, someone who knows the value of influence over brute force. From the start, he's critical of Hector Lopez's softer leadership, often invoking a memory of Hector's father as a benchmark for the kind of ruthlessness the cartel expects. His patience wears thin after Hector's assassination and Angelo's chaotic rise to power. The two men never see eye to eye, their rivalry amplified by Manuel's not-so-subtle interest in Angelo's girlfriend. It's some messy personal entanglement that strips away any sense of loyalty Manuel might have to the Carnales. And it's here that pragmatic side takes over. Cutting ties, he turns to Julius and the Saints, handing them the key to ending Angelo once and for all. In the end, Manuel doesn't just walk away from Stillwater. He leaves with Luis by his side, a quiet but telling victory. While the Carnales crumble in open conflict, Manuel plays the long game, stepping out of crossfire entirely. In a story full of gang leaders brought down by pride or aggression, Manuel survives by being something rarer in Stillwater: untouchable.
That's where Angelo lives with his woman. Consider this payment for your act of good faith. When you go over there, I'd appreciate it if you didn't kill the señorita. We'll be in touch.
William Sharp is proof that sometimes the deadliest guy in a room doesn't need to pull the trigger himself, though in this case, he's more than willing to. As the Westside Rollerz financier and Joseph Price's uncle, Sharp plays the role of a wealthy attorney with deep political ties, all while quietly bankrolling one of Stillwater's biggest car theft rings. His sarcasm cuts almost as sharp as his ruthlessness, and when his carefully laid deals start collapsing thanks to Lynn's undercover work, he doesn't hesitate to deal with the problem personally. That problem-solving method, a 44 Shepherd to the chest. What makes Sharp stand out among Stillwater's rogues gallery is how coldly business-minded he is. He's not a street brawler or an egomaniacal gangbanger. He's a strategist who uses his money, influence, and intimidation to get what he wants. But when someone crosses him, like Lynn, he's more than willing to get his own hands dirty, even if it means alienating his own allies. His execution of Lynn sets off a chain reaction that not only dooms the Rollerz' grand plans, but also seals his own fate with Playa ending his career in a high-speed revenge chase. Sharp is brought to life by David Carradine, whose calm, deliberate delivery brings the same quiet menace he showed as Bill in Kill Bill in decades of martial arts films. It's fitting. Sharp treats the streets like a dojo, controlled, disciplined, but ready to strike without hesitation.
Good girl.
Go fuck yourself.
Temper, little girl. Look at you, all tied up pretty as a present. I think it's time to unwrap you.
Joseph Price is the muscle of the Westside Rollerz, loyal to his uncle William Sharp and fiercely protective of their operation. While Sharp handles the scheming and political maneuvering, Price thrives behind the wheel, earning a reputation as a skilled driver who commands the loyalty of his crew. His respect is reserved for only two people, his uncle and his best friend Donnie. When Player kills Sharp in retaliation for Lynn's murder, Price doesn't just take over the Rollerz, he turns the gang into a blunt instrument of revenge. That vendetta fuels a full-scale assault on Saints Row, an act of desperation that sees most of his forces wiped out. Backed into a corner, Price challenges Player to a one-on-one fight, but in true Rollerz fashion, he tries to settle it with horsepower and heavy metal instead of honor. The battle ends the only way it could. Price's Goliath truck in flames, his reign as Rollerz leader reduced to twisted wreckage.
Listen up, people. We're done dicking around with the Saints. These streets were ours before those bitches from the row showed up. And when they stepped, what did we do? They fucked up our rates and we just took it. They fucked up our deliveries and we just took it. And now they killed my uncle, and who knows what the fuck they did to Donnie. Now I'm only gonna say this once. We're not gonna sit here and fucking take it! Hell no! Yeah! Light them up, boys! We're burning Saints Row to the ground!
Donnie might not be the most intimidating figure of the Westside Rollerz, but his mechanical skills make him indispensable. Loyal to a fault, his friendship with Joseph Price grants him a place of influence in the gang, even if it's not calling the shots. That loyalty becomes his greatest vulnerability when Lynn, working undercover for the Saints, stages his rescue during an orchestrated attack on his garage, believing she saved his life. Donnie opens the door for Lynn to meet Price and William Sharp, unknowingly helping her gather intel that slowly unravels the Rollerz operations. When Sharp exposes Lynn's betrayal at the Riverside, Donnie's world collapses. His heartbreak is palpable. He can't bring himself to kill her, but he also can't bring himself to save her. After she's murdered and the gang begins its final descent, Donnie disappears from the Rollerz orbit. In his last appearance, he's alone in his garage, quietly mourning over Lynn's memory. In a story packed with swaggering gangsters, Donnie stands out as one of the few truly human figures, a reminder that in the world of Saints Row, loyalty is both a gift and a curse.
Donnie, listen to me! I swear to God!
Lynn!
Take a deep breath and count to 10, Donnie.
Count to 10? You just shot my girl!
Yes, it's tragic. Could you give me a hand here?
Why did you...
Lynn was working with the Saints. Now, would you give me a hand? This car is heavy.
Donnie, where are you going?
Children.
At its core, Saints Row takes a familiar open-world crime formula and polishes it with enough quality-of-life upgrades to stand out from its inspirations. From the moment you step into Stillwater, you're free to carve your own path. And the first step is building your version of player through a surprising robust character creator. Ethnicity, facial features, body type, hairstyle, it's all yours to tweak. And if you ever want to change things up mid-game, a quick trip to a plastic surgeon will do the trick. Once the tutorial wraps, the city is yours. Stillwater's neighborhood are controlled by rival gangs, each one tied to the game's 3-story arcs. You can tackle these arcs in any order, but missions only unlock when you've banked enough respect, which is a mechanic that pushes you to explore. You stir up trouble, and you prove you belong in the Saints. Missions themselves range from tense shootouts and high-speed chases to set-piece assassinations, with a regenerating health system that keeps firefights fast and aggressive. The controls strike a nice balance between accessibility and precision. Driving feels responsive whether you're cruising to a mission or tearing through a police blockade, while combat uses a weapon wheel for quick swaps between pistols, SMGs, rifles, explosives, and melee weapons. You're limited to one of each weapon type at a time, forcing you to think about your loadout before jumping into battle. Rival gangs and police respond to your actions with a notoriety system. 1 bar means a mild pushback, but at max out, you'll be swarmed by enemies with lethal intent until you shake them off. Progress isn't just about clearing missions. It's about painting Stillwater purple. Block by block, you take over territories. Saints begin spawning in the streets, and you can call in the homies from your phone to roll with you. The in-game GPS system was a standout feature at the time. It makes navigating painless by plotting the fastest route to your destination without constant map checking. Combined with the game's fast retry system for failed missions, it's clear Saints Row was built to keep you moving and not stuck in menus. If the story missions are the backbone of Saints Row, the activities are the heartbeat. These are the diversions that fill in the gaps, build your respect meter, and give Stillwater its personality. They can range from grounded to gloriously absurd, and they're scattered all over the map to keep you exploring. On the more traditional side, you've got racing, hitman contracts, and drug trafficking. Racing tests your skills behind the wheel of everything from tuned-up sports cars to rusty beaters. Hitman contracts send you after specific targets, sometimes heavily armed, other times hilariously unprepared. Drug trafficking flips you into the role of an armed chauffeur, protecting your client through increasingly hostile deals. Then there's mayhem, which lands you explosives, a time limit, and a dollar amount of destruction to hit. Basically, sanctioned urban warfare. But it's the more off-the-wall activities that help Saints Row carve its own identity. Insurance fraud turns traffic collisions into a twisted sport, with ragdoll physics launching you across intersections for massive payouts. Escort mode has you chauffeuring questionable clients while dodging the relentless paparazzi. These activities aren't just filler. They break up the gangland drama with moments of pure chaotic fun. And they're some of the game's most memorable highlights. On top of that, Saints Row keeps the old school tradition of cheat codes alive. And it does it in style. Instead of button combos, you whip out players' in-game cell phone and select dial, and punch in specific numbers to bend the rules. Need a quick edge, clear your police notoriety, refill your health, or drop infinite ammo into your inventory? Want to cause chaos, summon a lightning storm, turn every driver into a kamikaze maniac, or trigger ragdoll physics on command? You can even spawn rare vehicles, special weapons, and unique clothing straight into your possession. Just remember, anything starting with a hashtag is flagged as a cheat, which means no achievements for the rest of that save file. But in a game this unhinged, that's almost part of the fun. Now, I'm usually not a big fan of cheat codes, but in Saints Row, I get it. The game's world feels alive in ways other open world titles of the time didn't. Shops close at night, meaning you can't roll up to friendly fire for a reload until the store reopens. If you're mid-mission, out of ammo, and starting to go down a wave and staring down a wave of enemies, your options are pretty slim. Wait around for daylight or pull the old cell phone up and make it rain ammo. And by the time you're closing in on the finale, the difficulty spikes hard enough that I can't blame anyone for keeping that number in handy. Because here's the truth. Player can get smoked fast. One moment you're fine. The next, a sniper round comes out of nowhere and is back to the start. Without a checkpoint system in a multi-layer mission, one mistake means replaying the whole thing all over again. And the passenger missions, brutal. You're stuck relying on an NPC to drive you while you try to aim, and just as you line up a perfect shot, the targeting swings wildly off course. God forbid you're in the airport with the RPGs raining down at your brilliant Saints driver who's supposed to be the smartest guy in the row and keeps finding creative new ways to die. If you played the game, you know exactly which mission I'm talking about. Entire forums complain about it, and honestly, they're right. I almost didn't beat it myself. but the key word is almost. And that's when cheat codes stop feeling like a gimmick and start feeling like a lifeline. Whether it's spawning a ride, padding your wallet, or gearing up for a fight you know is about to get messy, that phone can be the difference between walking away victorious or staring at a mission fail screen for the 10th time. In Stillwater, sometimes the smartest move is knowing when to cheat. On top of the chaos and cash, activities often come with tangible rewards that make players stronger, flashier, or better equipped for the road ahead. Completing certain side hustles can grant permanent stat boosts, unlock powerful weapons like the Platinum RPG launcher, or even score steep discounts at weapons and car shops. Some rewards are purely cosmetic, letting you strut through Stillwater in flash new outfits or roll around in rare vehicle variants you can't get anywhere else. And then there's the truly unique prizes, like unlocking Zombie Lynn as a recruitable homie by finishing the Rollerz storyline and making a very specific phone call. These extras give every activity an added layer of purpose, making them feel less like filler and more like an essential part of the Saints Row experience. Beyond that, there's a layer of collectibles, hidden CDs, graffiti tags that reward you with cash, respect, and an excuse to see every corner of the map. Many activities ramp up the difficulty, with bigger payouts the deeper you go, making them just as part of your rise through the Saints as the main missions. Whether you're running a flawless racing line, faking an injury for cash, or defending your crew in a drive-by, every move pushes you one step closer to owning Stillwater. All in all, Saints Row gameplay strikes a balance between gritty crime drama and chaotic player-driven fun. It's a world that rewards both focus and distraction. Whether you're gunning through the main story, racking up respect in side hustles, or dialing in a cheat code just to see what kind of madness unfolds. It may have its rough edges, but the sheer variety of things to do ensures there's always another way to make your mark on Stillwater. By the time the credits roll, you've not only taken over the city, you've done it your way. And that's exactly what makes the experience stick. Before Saints Row even hit store shelves, the hype was real. The Xbox Live Marketplace demo broke records at the time, with over 350,000 downloads in its first week, proof that players were ready for another open-world crime spree, even if it wasn't from Rockstar. When the game dropped, the reception was largely positive. On Metacritic, Saints Row landed 81 out of 100, with most outlets praising its gameplay refinements, slick presentation, and attention to detail. Game Informer scored it 8.75 out of 10, GamePro gave it a near perfect 4.75 out of 5, and IGN handed it an 8.5 out of 10, applauding the graphics, havoc power physics, and the variety of activities that broke up the usual mission grind. Reviewers also noted the game's quality of life upgrades over Grand Theft Auto. No more long loading screens between city sections, the more precise aiming and better mission restart options. All things made Stillwater a smoother, more player-friendly playground. That's not to say it escaped criticism. Some writers felt Saints Row played it too safe, leaning heavily on GTA's blueprint without bringing enough of his own flavor. One-up Scott Sharkley called its attempt at urban satire hackney, while others pointed out that the respect system, which locks story missions behind side activity grinding, could disrupt the pacing. Still, outlets like GameSpy argue that those activities were some of the game's most memorable moments, from insurance fraud's ragdoll chaos to the high-stakes mayhem challenges. Internationally, Saints Row made a strong showing too. Famitsu gave it a 34 out of 40, and both the Times and Detroit Free Press awarded perfect scores, praising it as one of the most exciting street shooters on the market. Awards soon followed, with GameSpot naming it Most Surprisingly Good Game of 2006, and the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences nominating it for Action Adventure Game of the Year and multiple character performance awards. Commercially, this game was a hit, selling over 2 million copies and earning a spot on the Xbox 360's Platinum Hits lineup. And while it didn't dethrone GTA in terms of cultural impact, it proved Volition could compete in the open world crime genre, setting the stage for Saints Row to evolve into its own wild, over-the-top beast in the sequels. But sales number only tell part of the story. What really cements a game's legacy is how players and critics respond once the controller's in their hands. and Saints Row sparked plenty of conversation. Some saw it as the best thing to happen to the genre since GTA 3, praising its slick presentation, chaotic activities, and quality of life upgrades. Others, however, couldn't look past the uneven mission design, questionable AI, and respect system that could grind the pacing to a halt. Love it or hate it, Saints Row made sure people had an opinion. On the positive side, players who loved the game often pointed to its variety of missions and activities, its robust open-world freedom, and its memorable humor. Many enjoyed the mix of gritty gangland drama with the over-the-top side content like insurance fraud or mayhem, praising how these diversions broke up the main storyline. The graphics and use of Havoc physics engine also stood out as a highlight, giving shootouts and car chases satisfying weight. For these fans, Saints Row was seen as a worthy rival, even a possible improvement to the Grand Theft Auto formula at the time. On the flip side, players who didn't enjoy it often cited inconsistent mission design and AI frustration as deal breakers. Escort and passenger missions in particular were called out as irritating due to poor NPC driving and difficulty spikes. The respect system, which required players to complete activities to unlock story missions, was divisive. While some found it as a good excuse to explore, others felt it disrupted the pacing. A few also noted technical hiccups like freezing or needing to reset, which could kill the momentum. In short, whether Saints Row clicked for you came down to how much you valued its chaotic sandbox humor versus how much patience you had for its rougher edges. For some, it was the best in the genre. For others, the flaws overshadowed the fun. That split in reception didn't stop Saints Row from leaving its mark. Even with its divisive elements, the game's core strengths were hard to ignore, and for many players, they outweighed the frustrations. It may not have been perfect, but it had personality, and that spark was enough to turn curiosity into a loyal fan base. In hindsight, Saints Row's debut wasn't just a solid entry into the open world crime scene. It was the foundation of a franchise that would carve its own identity. At launch, it was easy to dismiss as GTA light, but the game's strong mechanics, playful tone, and surprisingly robust side activities planted seeds of what Volition would become known for. The respect system, GPS navigation, and deep customization options may seem standard now, but in 2006, there were notable quality of life improvements that pushed the genre forward. While critics and players were split on certain design choices, particularly the occasionally frustrating mission structure and NPC AI, there's no denying that Saints Row proved Volition could stand toe-to-toe with Rockstar. More importantly, it gave the studio confidence to double down on its own brand of chaotic over-the-top gameplay, and the sequels eventually leaning so far into absurdity that Saints Row became less a GTA competitor and more of its own brand in open-world comedy action. Looking back, Saints Row's first outing may feel restrained compared to the alien invasions, superpowers, and full-blown parody of later games, but that's exactly what makes it interesting. It's a snapshot of a franchise finding its footing, raw in places, ambitious in others, and unafraid to experiment. And for many players, that's what keeps the original Saints Row worth revisiting, not just to see where it all began, but to appreciate how it set the tone for a series that would eventually embrace complete unapologetic mayhem. In the end, Saints Row's reception told a bigger story than just review scores and sales. It marked the arrival of a new contender in the open world arena. It didn't just reinvent the wheel, but it tightened the bolts, it added some chrome, and took it for a joyride through Stillwater. For players who clicked with it, Saints Row wasn't just another GTA clone. It was proof that Volition could take a familiar formula, polish it, and inject it with enough personality to make it their own. And that first impression would shape the wild, unpredictable identity the series will fully embrace in the years to come. Before I jump into my personal reflection, I just want to say thank you to everyone who tunes in every drop. Saints Row is a game I always wanted to play, and because of you and this channel, I was able to build a PC strong enough to finally make it happen. So while this is a new takeover for the channel, it's also a heartfelt thank you from me to you. Now let's get into this. Growing up, I had the second Saints Row game, and honestly, I've always looked at and still look at that one as the magnum opus of the series. But the first Saints Row was an Xbox 360 exclusive, and I only had a PS3. So this was the one I missed out on back in the day. Going into it now, I was open-minded, but anxious. I know pieces of the story, but never the full picture. And after a long playthrough, I could say it was worth the wait. Sure, there were highs and lows. It's the first entry after all, but there's so much charm packed into it. Plot twists, emotional moments that hit just long enough to leave an impression, and a satirical edge that gives the game personality. Gameplay-wise, it's definitely dated. No checkpoints, stores closing at night, a mix of activities that range from hilarious to downright absurd. But that's part of its identity. Saints Row feels like a time capsule, and booting it up today still has that spark. A big part of that comes from the voice cast. Keith David, Michael Clark Duncan, Michael Rappaport, and even Mila Kunis. These are heavy hitters who bring life to Stillwater. On the surface, it's easy to glance at the game and think GTA clone or San Andreas knockoff. But doing research for this video, I learned development began in 2003, back when only GTA 3 and Vice City were out. That puts it in a different light, especially when I found out the Saints were originally going to be green instead of purple. But a year after they started development, we already know San Andreas came out and San Andreas gang colors were green. So taking it to purple because of that game, I think gave it some better identity overall. And it makes me wonder, what if Saints Row had dropped on the PS2? Part of me thinks it could have been great, but the realist in me knows it probably would have been overshadowed. San Andreas is not only the king of the PS2, it's one of the most defining games of the 6th generation. Dropping Saints Row on the 360 instead meant it had its own space, where one console had GTA, the other got Saints Row. Sure, the comparisons are endless. GTA's Rampage missions versus Saints Row Mayhem, Michael Rappaport appearing in both, even the silent protagonist is a nice indication that you can compare both games to. But Saints Row still has its own identity. It's just unfortunate that in 2006, it had to live in San Andreas' shadow. San Andreas was still in its prime, but even so, Saints Row had showed there was life beyond Rockstar's formula. This wasn't just another open world sandbox. It had personality. It had soul. There's no wasted fluff, just a mix of sharp humor and moments of genuine seriousness. From day one, Saints Row proved it was the start of something great, a game unafraid to mix grit with absurdity. And while it would later evolve into a full-blown carnival of over-the-top mayhem, it all began here, in Stillwater, with a silent player, a purple dream, and the first steps towards building a legacy that still stands today. If you made it to the end of this video, first off, thank you. I'm working on getting back on schedule because dropping videos at the same time each week gives you something to look forward to, and I want to keep that going. Next week, we're diving into Bully, and thanks to everyone who voted, we'll be tackling the Scholarship Edition. It's going to be a fun ride. And in 2 weeks, it's time for Saints Row 2, so trust me, more is on the way. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up to help with the YouTube algorithm, and make sure you're subscribed. We're almost at 7K subs, and if you're feeling generous, you can always buy me a cup of coffee. With that said, this is the Retro Phantom, signing out.